They said, hell yeah.
Hey,
Okay. All right. Cool.
good man. His Steven well, first time we met, he was going through his shoulder surgery,
Hmm.
through his shoulder problems,
Yeah.
and really cool talking to him and like kind of seeing the young buck that he was back in the day. And the surprising thing is he's close to uh, with like Rosie, right? He can hit with his left as
Yeah.
hard as he can hit with the right. And you and I know there's only,
Handful
I
of
don't know,
people.
off the top of my head, I can maybe think like three people that can do that,
Well, I count on one hand. Yeah. Actually, let's do
right?
the. Actually, let's roll with this. We got a pre-intro. Jason DeBiz. That's my man Oleksiy Gutor. The buckle up, people. The episode starts right now. Arise, Rodimus Prime, Optimus. I was
All
like a,
right, here we
I was like
go.
a, I was like a half intro. I got the second half. I'll get it on the edit. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people watching live. Thank you for having us in your living room. Don't forget to smash that like button. Helps with the algorithm. Okay. Don't forget to share and care, as my girl Sabby Sabs would say, just like a Care Bear. Yeah. Before we got on, Stephen Roschitz, right? A guy
Right.
hits ambidextrously.
That's awesome. When we were just talking about him, a good friend of mine. It's been awesome to watch him to rise on that grind. Because beach volleyball, and I'm sure we'll touch on it, is a grind. There's a big difference between playing beach and indoor, and there are obviously different caveats. And guys that play both, there's a big difference between both of those. But Steven is really awesome because he can hit with both hands, and only a few other guys. Rosie is the other guy who can hit in game, right? Like we can all warm up and show our lefty, but like game speed and the difference in power, maybe if the right is 100, his left is about 70,
Mhm.
which is impressive.
He's a super athlete. Look, well, I met him in 2017, but the most impressed I saw him at the Motherlode, and he played with John Mesco. Mesco's a little long at the tooth, and he played the entire tournament with his left, and they made the semifinals. So and that altitude training, it's a testament to his conditioning, right? It's a
Right.
testament to what he's able to do. It's also a testament. Let's not forget, like some people's technique is so solid, whatever. You forget that the training that it takes, and we're definitely going to get to be an elite athlete to
Oh
take,
yeah.
because one of our subject matters is to take it to the next level is amazing. Like quick story about Stephen Roschitz. I'm doing a private lesson. I got some juniors, some AVP, right? And
Yeah.
when I do a private, I always like to have an assistant coach with me, right? But that day I was kind of stuck by myself, him and his partner. And we're doing a drill called lemons to lemonade. So basically, blocker jumps, turns. I throw the ball way off the court, like 20, 25 feet off the court. Blocker lands. He's supposed to bring it back, but not just bring it back, but bring it back in system, right? So Peter and Jake ask, hey Jake, they're just on the strand. They're like, hey, if you need a hand, we got you. And I'm like, wow, cool. So I try to teach the juniors, but I'm using the pros as a demo as a demonstration. So I throw the ball way off the court, and I'm thinking Steve's gonna bring it back. Bump set. Peter's gonna line up. This guy does like a baseball slide and uses his hands, hand set. I mean, like I toss the ball like 30 feet off the court, right? I mean, close enough to the strand where like the people walk by, and he does like this baseball slide, and as he's sliding,
Yeah.
hand set,
Yeah.
clean
Yeah.
handset and perfect on top of the net. Cano, they got a little
Yeah.
clairvoyancy.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
throws it
Yeah.
down. And what was just supposed to be this private turned out to be like this exhibition. Like I'm like,
I love.
this
Yeah.
is, I'm like, practice ain't supposed to draw small crowds, dude.
Right. Right. I love anytime I have an opportunity to bring a professional to our juniors. Like
Mhm.
last week, I had Gloria, who was played for Oregon, now
Okay.
plays in Hungary, and she played in Puerto Rico for the same team. I played professionally in Puerto Rico,
Mhm.
and so she reached out. She's like, "Hey, I need to work on some of the swinging and some of the mechanics, right?" And she's a 6'2", lefty, I mean, strong girl, right? And so she was supposed to go right away to Hungary, but she decided to take a detour, stop by in Dallas and train, right, with me. And so I had another junior opportunity, Soleil, this girl that I've been coaching for a while, also lefty, also 6'2", but you have somebody who is, 24, 25, been through the journey, and then you connect that with somebody like Soleil that is just getting through it. So she's 15, right? And then to be able to learn from that standpoint of view, from a professional, and being like, wow, that's really smooth, because at a highest level, you're not hesitating. Like, you gotta swing as hard as you can. And then you're just hoping, and that's what people think. You're literally just hoping that it's gonna score. Like, you can't, if you hesitate and think, like, if you're in the air and you're like, poke it or shot, boom, you lost. Right? You got to make your decision, whatever it is, and you got to go 100% in execution. Yeah. You're not pacing, especially indoor. You're not going like, I'm going to go off speed 60% shot. No. That thing will get picked up, and you're in the system, and someone, 6'8" guy from Serbia is going to jump right here in the middle, just crush that ball so hard you're going to think twice. So, like, that's exactly right. So when Steven is really great athlete, like, you have to. What people don't understand on a professional level is that these guys and girls are literally at their max capacity. They hit as hard as they can, they serve as hard as they can, and on the other side, you're digging the hard-driven ball that is going at a very high speed. So there's very little margin for error, and some, these guys and girls just make it look effortless. And I love bringing professionals to the juniors practice. And I even this season I hired a Natalie Purdue, who just graduated from SMU, and she's my assistant coach, and she just got done playing professionally. So my 16-year-old team, at Volley Pro, we have yesterday we did a drill where Natalie is attacking from the left side, right? I'm attacking from the right side. And these are our 16-year-old juniors basically get to play defense while, two pros are attacking at them. So, and we know all the weak spots, so we're exposed them. And so our girls get to train in that scenario. So I love bringing professional volleyball, because a lot of these girls are capable. They're just, the skill is different. It's not necessarily athletic ability. And so it's really cool to fuse the professional athletes with juniors, because at some point we were in their shoes.
Yeah, not to mention that juniors have someone they can emulate, right? Like, when we're growing up playing volleyball, right? There's definitely some elite athletes that, like, inspired us. Like, when I grew up, I love watching Steve Timmons, right? I mean,
Right.
I started watching the '88 team, and I turned back the clock back to '84, retrospectively, because you start present in the past, and that was a rock star team. Like, everyone, and Sir Vertley was a great player. Like, Craig Buck is one of the best blockers in the game. Jeff Stork was. I actually studied him for 2 years to become a setter. We're gonna have a conversation about transitioning from OH to setter. I have a lived experience in that.
Right.
But there is something to be said about juniors, to see a player like at those levels that could be like, wow, someday I could be that. This person believes in me. This person believes in me. This person's coaching me. And that's where I think there's a huge value to having former players or active players in some of these juniors practices.
Yeah, the way that I coach, well, one thing is that if you take high-level players, especially indoors, like high-level international, Division I, Olympic professionals, what you will see is a lot of them will have exactly same mechanics. Like 95%, they look the same. So, their platform, everybody's platform is touching. The elbows are touching, yep, and the wrists are touching. Whether you go to Brazilian women's national team, to French, outside hitters, to Japanese hitters, to Melanie Paras and all the TCU and all of the other high level players, the mechanics stay the same. And so the juniors, a lot of the times, with juniors, the trick is how do you give them the proper mechanics, right? And because if you have bad mechanics, if your mechanics are 5 out of 10, you first got to overcome that deficiency, and then you're trying to score. So like it becomes a lot difficult. And so,
and there's also a danger of getting better at doing it the wrong way, right? You don't want fruit from a poisonous tree, right? Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but that was important.
No, that's correct. And then even when I work with professionals or national team players for U19 for USA, shout out Thomas, and who plays at Harvard now, libero, fantastic, or working with Militrubi, who's at Penn State. Shout out to Penn State.
Yes.
But we work on continuously improving the mechanics, because it's like a golf swing. If you have a bad golf swing, no matter how hard you're trying to hit that thing, it ain't going straight. So you got to address what is the mechanical reason why it's not going straight, and you getting mad at that ball, you're just gonna lose all those balls. Well, but professional players also been in the square. So I call square the volleyball court, right?
Right.
They've been in the square, so they know the realistic situations and unrealistic situation. Because you've played. If Karch hits his power at his prime, and you are 10 feet away from the spot, you ain't digging that. And that you're not. Right.
No, cover the common areas. This.
Right, you gotta right. You gotta cover common areas. That if you're not in the right spot, you have no time to react.
Right.
Right. And so when I have one of our setters, just the other day, we were playing this tournament, and she's playing about 15 feet off the net, right? And we give them a good amount of line, and this hitter, on an open team, shoulders facing 5, and just hits a hammer down the line. Our setter puts her hands up, it goes through the hands and goes out of bounds. And the setter turns to me, she's like, "Coach, what else? How can I do? What is the next thing that I can do?" I'm like, move on to the next point. Don't worry about that. And so having that realistic expectation really helps players to buy in, because they feel understood. Because I also know, after certain speed once the speed of the game picks up, it's like you're either in the right spot and doing the right thing, or you have no chance and you got to move on to the next thing. That's why you see professionals, somebody bounces straight down, and people are like, okay, cool.
Yeah, it's
I have no chance here. I got to move on to the next point. I can't let this affect my next point. And I think that's a big difference that helps juniors to have professional players that understand the game and value their effort and how hard, because there's so many kids that want to work really hard, athletic kids, but they got to have good information from, and a lot of that information is coming from people that have been through the grind. Because I am 6'4", 6'5", and by all those names that you mentioned on the USA national team, and I actually had throwback to USSR days. I had Vilde, Ryman's Vilde. I don't know if you remember who that is. He was a Russian middle.
Yep. Right? I remember him.
He actually came. His son lives here. He played professional basketball. He lives in Dallas. He came out. I had him for one summer to come out and do camps. And
that's cool.
What people don't, they're like, look at me. They're like, "You're tall." I'm like, maybe to you. You don't understand. Matt Anderson and Max Holtz, and all those 7-footers, 6'10" guys. It's the guys that are on the shorter side that have the little chihuahua in them. That's how you got to get through it.
And you stumbled onto something very interesting, because I'm sending Derek Zimmerman the link. Derek Zimmerman wanted to know when you were on, and he actually played against you in an AVP game.
Yeah,
I think
we went back and forth.
That was like 3 games. Mark Pulehi,
true competitor.
Yep.
And people, when I play against people, they think that I am super mean. Like, they don't like, because I talk smack. Hey, I remember it started all the way back when I was playing in juniors, And I remember we were in Chicago, and this team, Adversity, actually a buddy of mine, Kyle Masterson, now owns Adversity, from Chicago, big volleyball club, right? They had two boys that were 6'10", right? And so we are from Texas, so we don't, it's not known for boys volleyball. Girls volleyball, a whole different thing, but for boys volleyball, right? And they put two 6'10" guys, and 6'10", 17-year-old is walking around like they've made it, right? All the schools are talking to them, and here's little Texas, guy that's 6'4", and just making them look like, just aggressive, hitting off the block, hitting through the block. I remember at one point I get up to the net and I'm like, hey, do y'all have anybody taller? And then they're like, what is this mosquito talking to me about, right? But competitiveness, so is nothing wrong with that. People have to understand that when you're on the other side of the net, dude, we're going at it. Like, even if I'm playing against my dad or my mom or my relative or even my best friends, hey, we're talking smack to each other. We are fighting. We got to bring anything and everything. So Derek was a great competitor, and we definitely had our fights where it's like, against each other. So so it's good. It's good to hear his name. I hope he's doing well. There's a lot of ballers.
I talk to him all the time. Derek and I, we met in New Orleans, and someone introduced us, and I don't even know why. Like, Derek and I are shaking hands, and we're looking at each other like, why do I care? And I'm like, yeah, why do I care? But then, I don't know, randomly he extended a little olive branch, and he's like, do you like whiskey? And I'm like, yeah. He's like, you ever been into the quarter? I'm like, nah. He's like, hop in. I hop in, pickup truck, old school pickup truck. We ain't doing no seat belts, right? You know what I'm saying? And you call your pickup truck a she, you know what I'm saying? That's country boy relationship. And we found this dive that no one wanted to go in, live guitarist or whatever, and hammered whiskey for like 4 hours and do what we're doing. We're just talking volleyball, and it was a great conversation. He was a real human being. And I talk to him every week. I talk to him once a week. I just for fun, just to check on each other. You know what I'm saying? We do like a mental wellness check, which he's always doing better than me for some reason. You stumbled onto something really cool. Like in the land of giants, right? The 6'10" guys, the mythological beast. I always find it intriguing that the people who win all tournament team or like regular season MVP are just the 6'4" guys. You know what I'm saying? Like Karch Karai is to us is God. How tall is he? 6'2"?
He's right there, 6'3", 6'2", 6'3".
Think about Riley Salmon, who is considered undersized for that gold medal team, but they're not beating Serbia Montenegro without him.
Right, weak pretty. You can go with Jiba. Right, like
Jiba. Right.
I think it's a little man syndrome. That's what I call it, Napoleon syndrome, where you are growing up around dudes that are just so, because as my Penn State coach Pav, and then we have a conversation talk about him, his last season and everything, but told me you can't teach height, and that's true, right? Yeah. And so when you're getting at the higher level of athletics, higher athletic of professionals, everybody's super tall and super athletic, and so in order for it's like if you are Dirk Nowitzki or JJ Barea, Dirk Nowitzki is tall, 7'2", super gifted, obviously, and then you have guys like JJ Barea that are 6 foot, but still are keeping up in the NBA. So when I went to and I played in Russia with Musersky and Hite and all of those guys, that in 2011 they actually became Olympic gold medalists in 2012.
Yeah, down reverse sweep. Yep. Dude, they were down 2-0, and then they moved the middle to Oppo, and he was like, his first swing, he was like, this feels good. A high set on the right side. I never knew it'd feel this good, and they ended up winning. Brazil didn't have the answer for.
It's like France. It's like France when in the last Olympics where people and I played against those French guys too. A couple of those French guys. I remember hitting over Engapet and what's his name, the setter, their captain.
He's so good, man.
Yeah, the shorter guy, not the tall guy, the shorter guy.
No, the shorter guy.
When I was playing in France, they were playing on a top club, and I was playing for GFCOR. But what's interesting is that volleyball is becoming so big. Like even when I landed in Belgrade, they had me first day practice with the second team because the first team was I think it was the end of the last season, so it was like April, so they were finishing up, so we weren't there. So I go in practice with them, right? And the person there, the manager is like, okay, you're gonna go practice with the second team just to get you flying in. So just to get you going. I knew what they were doing. They were actually checking whether or not I had a game, right? So, but I'm like, I know what's going on here. This is fine. So I call them divers, right? Because the door opens and all of a sudden you see this is the door and you hear,
yeah, everyone's got to go. Divers.
And then the next guy, and they're all like 6'10",
right.
and they all can hit the crap out of the ball, right? And so I remember like they show up and then we warm up and we do all sorts of things and then they start playing. And I remember this, I don't know, 17-year-old who's like 6'10", just wails a 70-mile-an-hour topspin, and I'm like, boom, passing. Perfect to the setter. The setter sets me, and I just destroy the ball because they're tall, but for me and for shorter guys, the bigger the block, the bigger the target. So it's easier to see. It's actually harder, contrary to believe. It's hard to play against small blockers that are like shooting the hands here. You don't know where they're gonna jump, so you feel like they're not there, and you're like, okay, I'm gonna go for that line cross body, and all of a sudden that guy's like jumping like this and touching, and then somebody else flying. And so it's actually a lot easier to play against big guys. So the big guys are everywhere, but the smaller guys are the ones that have that competitiveness in them because they've constantly been pounded. You're not good enough. This is a 6'10" guy. He's gonna go somewhere. I don't think so.
They had in New York. This is around 2004, 2005. They had two really, really good clubs. One's a smaller one, like A, but they could have played open. And so Balmeso, right? That's open.
Yeah.
They won two-time champs, USAV.
Yeah.
They only lost a set in those 2-year periods. Then you have El Peligro Sports, right? So every Monday and Wednesday, they have fours in Riverbank Park in New York. I call it Dominican fours because it's a Dominican neighborhood. Ain't nobody speaking English in there, but I was part of that crew because I spoke volleyball, right? And it's just exactly what you said. There's nothing more annoying in the world than going against someone your own size or someone shorter than you. I mean, at the net, trying to block this dude, I got no timing on him. I'm just, you do what you remember what your coach told you. It's like he's short, you gotta wait, right? Don't hang in the air and then let him make, and then play chess with him. So I'm just trying to wait, but these guys are so high IQ. So like Elvis Rodriguez, if you wait, he'll pick it up 2 plays and he'll pull the trigger early. Like he gets in the air fast. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, he's amazing. And, big shout out to Balmeso. Got a chance to play with him, got a chance to play against him. And it really, really, I came in a really good baller. Don't get it twisted, but the IQ of understanding how these guys work, because they're going to USAV playing open and you win 2 in a row. They're not the tallest team in the world, right? They're just, said, they hit heavy-handed. They're a heavy-handed hitting team. They're a smart redirect blocking team, or like a touch team, and they're murderers at the service line. They and watching them at nationals, they like every middle they went against. The middles were like on suicide watch. It's just they just didn't have an answer for this team that was scrappy and timing specific. And like you said, we can not land the entire podcast. We can fly this plane and talk about how interesting the MVPs, right? Taylor Crabb, right? Indoor, he won AVCA Player of the Year and a losing season, by the way, right? AVP multiple time MVP. I have him And my international friends laugh at me when I say that. I have him top 5 as far as a defender, right?
Yeah.
And some of
Well,
my friends,
it's
some of my friends at the international level, like you trying to tell me there's only 4 guys better than him in the world, and I'm like, you gotta respect this dude's competitive nature. He's got like, what I'm saying, he's
he's
got
been the
testicular
dog.
fortitude.
Yeah, he's been the dog
Yeah.
since he was little, and that's what the little man syndrome is.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's so many guys that are like, man, if I was 6'6" or 6'9", man, I would have had a completely different. So when you're like, those 5'10" guys, man, if I was 6'3",
Right.
watch me go.
They're
Right,
also, and they're also good for the sport, Oleksiy. Right? Like
right,
I
absolutely.
would think the most watched AVPer
For sure.
is
For sure,
probably
because
Taylor Crabb and Trevor.
people,
Trevor. There's like an honest competition with his older brother, right? Who's who's not as dynamic. He just wins, right? All this guy does is win, right? So I'm a bit of a
but he
fan.
looks like everybody else. He looks about the same size as everybody else, and then you have the little guy running around, bouncing balls, making it look easy, and letting the other side know about it, right? And all of a sudden, the crowd loves that, right? Because when you see Phil, and I remember we played. So, quick story about 2007 Phil, and you know what happened in 2008. So, a buddy of mine, Jay Scott, who played at IPFW, played professionally, good friend of mine.
Yeah.
And he calls me up. This is when I just graduated from Penn State. He goes, "Hey, there's a Seaside Heights tournament, AVP. Do you want to go?"
Let's
go. I'm like, "It's kind of nearby. Let's
Wait,
do it."
Seaside, Jersey or Oregon?
Jersey.
Okay. Yeah.
Jersey.
Okay.
And so we have 0 points. Literally 0 points. And so we're the last. We're like 56th seed or something like that. And so, because we had never played, right? But I just graduated from Penn State. He's playing professionally. So we're 2 indoor outside hitters who, I think that if you want to play beach at some point, like you have to be an outside hitter. It's difficult to be a middle or setter or right side, because beach players are well-rounded. You have to know how to pass. You have to know how to play defense. You have to know how to set.
No place to hide.
Right, there's nowhere, because if they find, if you can't set, boy, the other person is going to get every single serve. So and so Jay calls me up, and I'm like, all right, let's go. And so we're the last seed. We have to win, I think 3 or 4. I don't remember at this point. And I'm sure we'll run this again. We'll have to look at that on BVB. But we win the first one pretty easily, even though we're like the last seed. So we played not the first seed right away, but we played that entry into that playing the first seed. And so we ended up winning the first one pretty easily. We ended up winning second one pretty easily. And then to get in,
keep talking. I'm gonna put the BVP page up on our screen so we can walk through it.
Yeah,
but keep going.
Look it up. And then we played. Yes, there it is. Just Phillips. Yep. Yeah, we played Dunko. Yep. Exactly. And so in the last match to get in, right? So these guys, so Seth and Justin, they were the guys who were supposed to get in, right? So they were at the top of their game. That team that's qualifier, but they usually get in, and so they kill us the first set. I mean, you can see it's 25-12, right? And and then I remember like one of the most motivating things that Jay, and ever in my career, it was such an impactful moment between 2 partners. We sit down, we just tried to do everything, we just got whooped. And he looks at me, he goes, "Hey man, do you have anything to lose?" I go, "No." He goes, "All right, let's go topspin jump serve them off the court." I go, "Okay." And so we just started heat, and the wind picked up. So obviously there's a good side and the bad side. And what indoor guys have is that we have topspin jump serve, right? And usually beach players aren't used to that. and we just served them off the court. We just played physical. They were so pissed because in the third set, I think we served like 5 aces, and so we were super happy. We're like, yes, we made it. And then we look at our draw, and we're like, okay, we got to play. This is 2007 Phil,
Yep,
right?
I know.
And Todd. And so we were super psyched. And we get there next morning, and this is what I learned what being professional is. We're 30 minutes before the game. Phil and Todd are already sweating.
Yeah, they're getting the first win, second win. Yep.
Right, they're sweating, and then I'm like, they're here, already warmed up. I'm like, all right, let's start throwing the balls. Let's start working on our hitting, getting our shoulder ready. And then Todd comes up and he goes, "Hey, Alex," and I go, "Is there another Alex? How do you know me?" So I know of him, right? But he goes, "Yeah, I recruited you to go play for UC Santa Barbara, or was it San Diego that he coached them?" And he was like,
trying to remember, yeah.
He was like, "I wrote you a letter, but you never responded." And I'm like, "Sorry, man." He was like, "How did you like Penn State?" And I'm like, "I loved it. It was absolutely fantastic." And then they smashed us very quickly. At one point, Todd was starting to block, and so you know how that goes. But when you see Phil, right, you're like 6'9". I remember he got on scale and he was like 190 pounds. Touching 11.7. Yeah, I'm like, it's a cheat code, right? But it's a cheat code,
right?
And so those little guys are like, man, if you would have Taylor to be Phil's size, think about that, right? I'm sure people are like, man, if you can take this skill, because I think that Phil is super incredible player. His feel and touch for a tall guy is 9 out of 10.
I don't think Taylor would have been as good as Phil as if he was Phil's height, because God made Taylor that height for a reason.
No, I'm saying I know.
Yeah,
but I'm saying take his skill and you put it in a Phil's spot.
Yeah.
And game over. Game over, right? Like, it's not even close.
Well, it's game over for Phil in the sense that, like, look, they're both winners, and again, look, Phil's a gold medalist. It's wild. Like, Phil's a gold medalist, but Taylor actually, like, if you had to click on a game, you're gonna pick Taylor. You really are. Because there's things that he does dynamically, like his balance on the dig. Some of these things, I swear to God, some of these things I would never teach my kids. Whatever. It's just for him, and it works for him, and good for him. But I wanted to share the dynamic, like. Yeah. We both, and this is great because it's indoor players. You're gonna co-sign with me right away. The two fastest ways to score a point is a block and an ace, and that's Phil, man. You blink, he could be down 6-0. I remember one of the Olympic games, it was a game 3. He was down like 6-0, and then I'm like, this is over. I'm gonna go to the bathroom, come back, and watch the end. And next thing you know, Phil's up by 3. You blink.
It's not fair because when Phil's on the other side, you're literally starting with being down 5 points. Every set, you're down 5 points.
Right.
Even if the score shows 0-0. But everybody know you're 5 points down, and you have to climb your way back up, because you got to win 26 points if you want to beat him, not 21.
Yeah. But like as far as energy efficiency is concerned, it's energy efficient for indoors, so it's definitely energy efficient for the beach. The ace and the block. If he gets an ace,
that's such a high point, because the difficulty about beach is that if you don't have wind, if you have wind, guys are gonna wail at it, right? But when you get into the stadium court where you are surrounded on the AVP scene, where you don't have a whole lot
neutral ground,
a whole lot of wind, you have to have height in order to be able to put enough pace for the ball to land in the smaller court, right? Because on the big court you have so much more space, so you can almost serve it linearly, right? And it's going to fall down because the gravity is going to take over with the right amount of spin. On the beach, your court is a lot smaller. So in order for you to serve effectively and hard enough, right, you have to have the height of the touch.
Yeah, gravity wins.
It's difficult. You're balancing on literally the end line is like your margin for error if you're trying to hit if you're trying to serve really, really, really hard, like who was the you had somebody just the other day on the podcast who was about 6'5". Who was the guy that you just had? It's about 6'5".
I'll look.
I'm blanking.
No, but keep going. I'll find him.
And so I was just actually watching that yesterday. The guy who hosts the other board, right? We played against each other in Puerto Rico for a little bit.
Who's this again? Who? Sorry.
Born.
Triborn?
Yes,
Right.
Triborn. So
Okay.
we played against each other in Puerto Rico indoors, right? He is not touching as high as Phil's touching, right? So he had if he serves at 100% power, his margin for error, like the ball, just from the physics standpoint of view, the ball is going to land towards the end of the court, right, towards the end line, whereas Phil is touching so much higher. His ball has more, his hard ball has more room for error. So it's like a cheat code, Phil knows the cheat code, and good for him. He's fantastic, had an amazing career. Loved watching him, and I'm super excited to see what he builds afterwards, because that's one of the things that volleyball players, after they're done with volleyball, like that's a whole different journey that I'm actually I've been on for several years, and I talk to a lot of the guys that are just starting to play professionally to kind of give them perspective on long term. Hey, volleyball is going to be done. You're going to have to figure out what to do afterwards. And you have so much free time, like when you're playing professionally. I mean, yeah, you're training and everything like that, but you really need to start thinking of what you're going to do after you're done, like try and all those guys that made livable income, but it's not like, beach volleyball and indoor volleyball. And that's one of the reasons why I played indoor, is that there's just a lot more money if you're a professional than it is on the beach.
Yeah. I think in order for those players to have success, let's say you retire and you want to be a club coach. Let's say you retire and you want to coach NCAA. Let's say you retire and you want to do color commentary, right? Or emceeing or play-by-play. I think the ones that enjoy the most success are the ones that understand that they're two different occupations, right? Like,
100%.
the good news is they already got a leg up on everybody else, because you have this lived experience that makes that, if you know how to communicate it right, makes it real and interesting. It makes it real and interesting as a commentator, and it makes it inspiring as a club coach or as an NCAA coach, right? And I just think people understanding that I played, and something's gonna be easy, but I got a lot of freaking work to do, right? I mean, I had DJ Klasnich on my podcast, and they were just wondering why, like, I got more viewership and this and that, and I'm like, because this is, when you're out there, that's your domain. Yeah, I'm not even gonna step on the court, man. Unless I just want to embarrass myself. Unless I want to be like actor Jeremy Piven, who wants to fight Conor McGregor for like a fundraiser, right? And I'm like, Conor, don't let Jeremy win that one, okay? But my point is this. This is my sphere, my man. This is 274 episodes of making mistakes, 274 episodes of talking more than my guest, like having a great conversation and actually ruining the podcast, right? There are some things, where I had to understand that it's a different occupation.
And I think that there is, when you're a high level athlete, I think that some really, really, really good coaches are ex-professional athletes. But the trick is, can you quantify what you're trying to teach a person within a certain position? Because to some people, it comes naturally, and it's difficult to put into words, because, when I'm coaching, for example, outside hitters, right? Like, I can show and I can hit, but that doesn't mean that the person that I'm coaching would be able to understand what I'm trying to tell. So the trick is, can you really break down the skills, like shoulders facing to 5, the ball being above you when you're hitting off the hands, having your body in front of the ball, how do you hit cross body, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So when you can quantify those things and when you can understand those things, because like I said earlier, a lot of high-level volleyball players, mechanically, they look very similar. So the trick to coaching is, can you relate to this player, whether they're 10, whether they're 14, whether they're 17, or if they're a professional, because I coach all levels. Can I take what they're currently doing, give them a very specific directions, and can they replicate that and leave a little bit of leeway for their individuality? But most of the time, at point of contact, when you watch PGA, most of them look very, 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 very similar. They'll have some backswings that's different, so you have to allow for some individual variability, maybe like 10%, but 90% or something in that range has to be mechanically correct, because professional mechanics are designed to make whatever you're trying to do easier, right? So a good golf swing is designed for you to feel natural, for you to feel easy when you're swinging through it, where you're not difficult, you're not stiff, you're just swinging it. And if you have good mechanics, that ball is going to go straight. You know what I mean? And so that's the trick of, if you want to become a coach, it's a very different occupation, because now you're trying to estimate what's currently happening with the kid that you're coaching, and what set of mechanics and how to explain it and quantify, so that, because a lot of the times when if you don't tell the kids how to do something, any athlete, they start making stuff up that feels easy to them, for them to do. And a lot of the times that's incorrect, and so you have to have, because correct mechanics, they're smooth and they feel natural. And that's why mechanics are mechanics. That's why, the Falco has a very similar arm swing to Matt Anderson, same swing to Engapet, same swing to, like, the shoulder rotation, where they contact the ball, how they contact the ball. If you break those down, most of the high-level players, they look exactly the same. So the trick to coaching is to take that information, be able to quantify that, and then translate that to a junior player. And I think that has been my philosophy on how to coach kids, is to create miniature professionals mechanically from them, right? So at their speed. So if you're a 10-year-old, can you have proper hand setting, right? Like, these are your mechanics, right? Can we replicate that? I'm not expecting you to set 30 feet, while you're in zone 1, while your shoulders facing to 4, that fastball, right? But can we just get this? When your body catches up, if you have great mechanics and it's natural, you're going to go to a very high level, because at the highest level, the athletic abilities fade away and it all becomes skill, because everybody's athletic, right? And wherever you go, you're going to look left and right, and those kids are going to be same height, if not taller, same athletic ability, if not better. And the differentiating factor is going to be skills. How good of a passer you are, everyone has this, right? But when the ball is served at 24-24, are you going to pass that perfectly, or are you going to crumble? And that's the skill is a separating factor, not the athletic ability, because you can do nothing about how tall you're going to be, even though I have a theory.
There's an old saying, hard work beats talent when talent does not work hard, right? I bring to everyone's attention, like, Kobe Bryant, right? Kobe Bryant is a very, very, very talented person, right? And everybody's like, he's this great player because he's this elite athlete or whatever. And I think it's important for people to consider, ask yourself, it's 10 o'clock at night. Just picture in your head Kobe Bryant's in a gym by himself, right? How many
10 p.m.?
How many free throws? Let's say he's got to do X amount of free throws before he allows.
You said 10 p.m.?
Yeah, let's just say it's 10 p.m. because he was
practice of the day. I know very well that's his fourth practice by then.
Yeah, and he's gonna get up 4 in the morning for the other one. But I want this is just a blank scenario because I really don't know. Um, but let's say it's 10 o'clock, and let's say Kobe tells himself, "I have to do X amount of free throws before I allow myself to go home." My question to everybody else. This is just a thinking out loud thing because this is a podcast, and
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
we
yeah,
get to do whatever
yeah,
we want. Uh,
yeah.
um, how many free throws do you think he says? How many free throws do you think Kobe's gonna tell himself that he's gonna take before he leaves? It, I, I
It's
can't
got
even
to be
count. I
like
can't
in
even imagine.
development.
Whatever number I come up with is gonna be lower than what it actually really was. So
100%.
that is
I mean,
about.
he
Mhm.
famously said, "I fit 3 or 4 years of progress into one." That's it, and that's one of the concepts that I actually apply into coaching kids because there's so many things that you can do at home. I get it. You can only go to 2 practices. Parents are busy. I get it. It's difficult. I
Yeah.
have 2 kids myself. I understand. My kids, 5 and 12. One plays
Right.
tennis at 5. The other one is a golfer at 12. Both of them, we work out almost every single day because we have a home. We have time, and when you take advantage of all that time that you have, it doesn't have to be 3 hours, right? You don't have to go Kobe Bryant on them.
No.
But 30, 40 minutes a day, you can do so much progress. Because if you think about it, if you work out 5 times a week at home, if you multiply that by 50 weeks, let's say, that you have done, you are going to be light years away from your competition just based on reps. And what people often juniors get caught up into doing a flashy thing. If you actually watch Kobe's and you watch Curry's, uh, they are doing the most basic, boring stuff that you can fall asleep to watching that same three throw.
Yeah. I think.
That's not boring to them because that boring work over and over and over and over again, instead of brand new exercise every single time, this flashy things, it all comes down to the boring work. What most people think is boring, but if you fall in love with that boring work, that's what actually works. I say, the biggest shortcut is the
Mhm.
long way.
Well, let's stay with this because this is actually one of the subject matters I sent to you. I knew you and I were just going to have a good time, and people are going to
Yeah,
enjoy that as well. But like one of the questions was, parents and kids come up to you, what does it take to be at the next level? So since we've already jumped in on this, let's
yeah.
let's stay with this. Not even mean to interrupt you, but I'm just saying
No, no, no.
we're in
This is
it,
great.
and let's before we land, let's
Yeah,
stay with this a little bit longer. I just wanted to caveat by saying that when you see a game that's 24 up, right? And both teams are evenly matched. Tensions get high. Might be game four, butt cheeks get tight, right? Uh, um, you, I find it interesting that the player who's highly technical
yeah.
does something to win the game or get to 25-24 that they didn't practice. And this is wild because a lot of people are entertained by that flashiness or like that ESPN player of the day, but
Yeah, flying
use
down, catching,
yeah,
sprawling
but
out, getting like a
yeah,
pancake dig.
but something
Yeah,
that I'm glad you reminded everybody of is that the flashy play or the play of the day doesn't exist because if it's not from a grounded place, right? So that move that the coach that you see them do, and we as coaches like, okay, we didn't do that in practice. There's something I didn't see in practice, right? uh, um it derives from a place of groundedness, and the groundedness does come from, like you said, understanding the right way to do it and replicate it to a point where they're not thinking about it, they're just doing it, right? Like
right.
kids out there, when you get up in the morning and brush
Creativity.
your teeth, right? Do you think about brushing your teeth, or do you just brush, right? You just
Right.
brush because it's
Yeah,
in your DNA. So
yeah.
you have a thought, and I'll leave you the floor.
So creativity, right? So when I played,
Mm.
I was the guy who wanted the ball all the time. I don't care if you give me 100 sets, I'll take them all. And so when I played
That was your
professionally,
reputation. You never saw a set you
and
didn't like.
give me every ball. So, and when I played professionally, and he would get like 20-20. I would turn to my setter, I looked him dead straight in the eyes, and I said, give me every ball. And I was dead serious. I don't care if I'm on the ground. If we play defense, give me the ball. I want that ball every single time. And setters would go, okay. And so I would be responsible for closing up a lot of games. I love that, right? I love that I'm able to utilize my skill. And that's what, you have people that are really good from 0 to 10. You have really good people from 10 to 20. What happens from 20 to 25 is where all the games are at. And so there are closers that love putting the ball away. And that's what I said. The best outside hitters are the ones that hit the junk. They're going to create something out of nothing. The hand, even from here, or instead of attacking, or instead of overpassing, they're going to jump flow to you. They're going to create something. And that comes from practice. Like when I'm practicing with my 16s, we have a segment, the three most important things that decide the outcome of the games is passing, out of system hitting, and serving. If you win those three, you win every match. That's how Olympics are won. That's why France is winning.
Yeah,
right?
I remember France played the Russians, right? Game 5, 0 reception errors against the best serving team in the world.
Right. So if you can control your side of the net and you can tool the block,
I think so, yeah.
and you can serve, boom. That's all you need. You need +5 on digs, and they're really good defensively, right? But the defense, when you are passing well, and when you're hitting well out of system, and when you're serving well, guess what? You're on fire, right? Your defense gets better. You get all excited. You jump higher, more adrenaline, right? And so in our practice, it's very structured. We have warm-up, passing, a lot of passing. Then we go in out of system hitting, and then we do serving, and then we play over and over and over and over. I mean, there's variation within that, but that's how we structure our practice. And for our hitting, we have structured time where we work on a very specific thing, and then we also have unstructured time where we have I put up these hands, these blocking hands, and that they're about this tall above the net. For our girls, they're attached to the net, right? So I have 4 hands on the outside, 2 hands on the middle, and 4 hands, let's say, on the right side or something like that. And then we work on their own toss. And then I say, okay, now we're going to either tip, you're going to get off the hands, or you're going to hit to deep 5. You decide, you create your own outcome, right? So it's a very unstructured, and it's structured at the same time. So their creativity comes out, right? And then you add on to that. And so because in the real games, in real volleyball, it's chaos.
Control chaos, yeah.
Constantly chaos. It's all out of system. When you have a perfect pass, it's automatic side out. Like everyone's gonna side out in system. But 80% of the game or 70% of the game is played in out of system. So you are literally in chaos all the time. So you got to have structured and unstructured where players' creativity can come. And it's super important element is understanding that failure is part of that process. So at the beginning of the season, I had some girls miss the court, and they look at me like, am I going to be mad at them? I'm like, no, you're trying something new. You haven't done this before. New mechanic or new shot or new shoulder angle or a tip with your offhand. Like, you're supposed to miss, right? The first 100, or maybe you're going to make 5, right? Cool. You're going to get upset about it maybe a little bit. You're going to see whether I'm reacting. I'm like, no. What matters is what do we do after rep 900? Can we make that 70 good and 30 bad and slowly but surely improve? And that's how I think the confidence is built. That's how you give kids creativity for next level and get them confident, because so many kids that I coach are just not confident because they're constantly either being talked down to, or they're comparing themselves to Phil Dalhausers. And I'm like, no, that's a waste of time. You need to concentrate on you, your position, and there's very specific very specific skills, positional skills that college coaches are looking for. It's very simple. It's very cut and dry, and what you need to do is you need to know what those skills are, right? You need to know what those positional skills are. Then you need to understand what are the mechanics that go into that specific position, right? And you need to perform those skills at a high enough level consistently, right? So for a setter, for example, it's a deceptive setting, right? Like if you're putting the ball in good spots, but you're predictable, right? That's going to be tough,
It's going
right?
to get eaten up.
So
Yeah.
right. So can you develop deception? Well, what is the deception? How do you contact the ball at the exact same spot in relation to your body, exactly same shoulder angle where you're facing, and then can you set those 7 sets from that position? That's
Right.
deception, right? And so you see some of the best players. They're not necessarily super tall, but they are really good setters. They get the middle blockers because you're really in setting. You're only working against one blocker, right? You're only fooling the middle blocker because the outside blockers are going to be there regardless, right? You're just trying to mess with the middle blocker, and so it's not your top spin jump serve. That's a bonus, but that's not the main skill, right? It's not your block. It's a bonus, and we're going to learn how to do that. But as a setter, what you need to be is you need to be number one thing is you need to be deceptive. You need to be a good setter. And so once you figure out what those things are for different positions, like for an outside hitter, it's passing is number one. It's not hitting. It's the passing. If you can't pass, that's called right side, right? I mean, if you can't pass, they can hide you, but until it's served up. That's right. That's right. Go on the right side. Oh, go meet that 6'5" Hungarian chick who is now taking your spot, right? So for the outside hitter, it's passing, out of system hitting, and serving in that 3 order. Because if you're a great passer, fantastic, you're gonna stay on the court just because of that. If you can be a good out of system hitter where you work with all sorts of junk, fantastic. You're gonna score points in difficult situations. And if you have a serve, really good serve or top spin jump serve. I'm teaching a lot of girls how to top spin jump serve if they have enough power and strength, right? 2 of our girls are serving heat missiles in practice. Off camera, I'll send you a highlight of one of our girls, and I think you'll be BK and Liliana, 2 of our girls that are serving top spin jump serve, and I think you'd be just impressed by their audacity to just keep going at it, keep going. And the other side, they don't know what to do with it. And I'm like, yeah, I know, because you only pass flow. And so understanding what those skills, very specific skills that college coaches are looking for, that's the trick. And then you have to, obviously, you start with the skill thing, and obviously every high-level school has a very specific physical properties that they look at, right? So let's say, Penn State, if you want to be a middle, like you have to be probably about 6'2" plus. And that's just the reality of things, right? Outside hitters, somewhere in the 6 foot range. Now, if you're like 5'11" or 5'10", or if you're 6'2", like that kind of gets a little blurry, right? So you can really, like, if you want to be a great outside hitter and you're, 5'10", look at Melanie Parra. What did she do? Great passer, great out of system hitter, great top spin jump serve hybrid.
Yep.
That's it. So you really have to understand what those skills are and spend all of your time in juniors developing your individual skills, because volleyball is a very individual game played in a team setting.
Right.
Because every 6 months you get a new teammate, you get new playing for a different club, and so it's super important to understand what those skills are and reverse engineer that and work on that since you're 10, 12, 14 years old.
Well, I think it was really cool because we had like 3 major topics we wanted to cover and talk about. We're gonna talk about everything, but I think where your skill set came into play, you kind of did a 3-for-1 on all 3 of those questions. And I guess the only thing I can say is, they're all connected, right? You can't answer those questions
Absolutely.
separately. One of the questions was, what does it take to get to the next level? One of the questions we wanted to explore were, someone wants to change positions and understand what that position requires. You just covered that. And I guess that's where your genius comes into play.
And I love, I
Where we've
love,
been our whole lives.
right. I truly love volleyball. Like people,
Yeah,
like if you look at underneath, we usually, God gives us one or two talents.
right.
That's it. Like something we suck at a lot more things than we're good at, right? Like I am terrible at very many things. One thing I know is volleyball, and
Right.
so luckily I've been blessed. My mom and my dad were both professional athletes. Dad, professional volleyball player, professional coached world championships with against Karch in Italy and all over the world. My mom, a world class fencer, coached at Cornell. Just fantastic role models. I mean, I have really good, just super fortunate. They gave me fantastic genes. Thanks, Dad. Thanks, Mom.
There you go.
I really appreciate it. And you were right. Everything that they said, they were right. And so
Yeah.
now I'm starting to realize more and more how blessed I am with being in volleyball. And I just love seeing kids get better. Because if you're a baseball player and you're throwing 85 and somebody comes over and goes, son, I think you have 93 in you.
Right.
And all of a sudden you're like, whoa, well, what does it take? And then you
Yeah.
show them a little bit. And then they're like, whoa, yes, I do. Even though everybody else and even my mind is telling me that, oh my God, that is unachievable for me. But all of a sudden somebody starts believing in you, and all of
Right.
a sudden you gain a little bit of skill here, a little bit of skill here. And then it becomes fun.
Right.
Because all of a sudden you're like, whoa, I can do this, I can do that, my passing is better, my hitting is better, my topspin jump serve is better. What else can I do? And that's when it opens up, and that's when you become truly an incredible player. And that's what I love doing. I love giving back to volleyball what it's provided for me on many different levels. Coaching, I'm also creating fitness products for volleyball players. How to hit harder. One of the biggest things and we'll talk about, just saying, one of the biggest things that is baffling to me, but I did the same thing. Very few kids strength train before they get to college sports, and you can't find a person in college who doesn't strength train.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
And so I'm solving that problem by providing a world-class gym experience at home. Right. So
Great.
I have a product called Pro Volley Bands that you're basically have a walkthrough exercises specifically for volleyball players, because high level athletes, what people may not understand that haven't gone through the journey is we get hurt all the time. We play with pains, shoulders, elbows, hips, core. It's a lot, because as a high level, as a professional athlete, you're constantly managing, okay, how do I stay healthy? How do I feel good? And so strength training is a big part of it. It's so important to be strong. And volleyball is very specific. It's different from football, different from basketball, it's different from soccer, it's different from tennis, because we're landing constantly and jumping as high as we can. In basketball, you don't necessarily have to jump as high as you need to, right? But in volleyball, you're constantly jumping and landing. So how do you protect your knees? How do you protect your ankles, hip, core, rotation, shoulder, elbow, wrist, all of those things. And through my career, I was fortunate enough to be one of the healthiest guys, but I also spend the most time in the gym.
Because you know how to land. They teach us how to jump. Who teaches you how to land?
Right. I actually was just shout out to SMU strength training coach Anthony. He just posted results for his there were 3 girls that transferred, right? So we're talking about mature athletes, right? So these are not 18 or 17-year-old girls that haven't strength trained. These are mature strength trained athletes, And so in 6 weeks, they put on 4.5. Each one of them put 4.5 inches on the vertical, top end vertical. So some of them went from 10 to 10.4. Some of them went to 10.3 to 10.7.
Nice.
And to me, I respect that so much, because it's not like somebody going from, 10 inches to 15. This is somebody going from 25 to 30, and for females, that is super impressive.
Right.
And so that's what I'm solving for our juniors, because they don't have access to Anthony. They don't have access to some of these high level strength trainers. And for junior players, it's not about top end. You need a base. You need a really solid
foundation.
base.
Yep.
And so that's what one of my products. That's one of my gifts to volleyball. And the second one that most, I'm sure, you've run into with your kids is hitting, right? So the proper movement of the arm. So many, their elbow gets forward, or it looks like they're chopping it, or it doesn't look fluid. It doesn't look natural, right? Because when you look at high level attackers, they all go all the way back. Then they start to move their hips slightly, and then it all connects at the top, and they're all hitting here. So I've used it when I was playing. I used this device, and I finally was able to get it done for our athletes, and it's called Pro Spike Flow. And I don't know if you have a video of what I sent you. Basically the movement, but it basically trains your how to hit mechanically clean, how to hit stronger, and how to get more, start hitting faster and more efficiently. I think it's an incredible product. We've sold out 5 times already, and from all over the U.S. So there were orders from Hawaii, from Alaska, New York, Florida, LA, Texas, all over the place. I have college coaches that have reached out, club coaches that have reached out, and I think that's going to be my gift to volleyball, because I really want to leave the game better than I found it.
Oh, all right, great, whole lot to unpack there. Let's. Yeah, I'm gonna actually just show a picture, the mom's playbook, the volleyball mom's playbook by Oleksiy Gutor.
Yeah. The education for parents. Yeah, we'll jump into that.
Check that
but if
out.
you can show
That's awesome.
the video of the Pro Spike Flow of the movement, I think all of our volleyball kids. Yeah, that one. Can you?
How can I make this bigger, man? Yeah, I'm actually on my iPad. There you go.
There we go. So this device it's called Pro Spike Flow, and it basically trains your full range of motion. Right, when you're going all the way back, that's where we're the weakest. And what the hardest hitters, what they have in common is that they have that mechanical swing where it goes right there, where you go all the way back. This is where you start hitting. This is where your torque comes from, in this specific position. Perfect pause. And then this tool, so Pro Spike Flow, trains that very, very specific angle, which we're weak at. And you see how I'm open, and the hip is about to move forward, initiate. One of my strongest thing that people were always impressed by, and is how hard I was hitting. Well, it's because I was really strong in that position, and I used my hitting sequence properly. So hip, then shoulder, and then the arm catches up as the finishing contact. So if basically that tool, and this one, it's right here. So I have a couple of different weights. I have 1 pound for the younger kiddos that I'm using. The one that you saw, I was using 2 pounds, and that's you have to be, I don't know, 16, something like that, and you have to, I don't know, have a certain strength level. And I'm also introducing the 1.5 pound. That's actually next drop, where kids that are so you can we'll start using 1 pound. I have some kids that are 10 years old, and they are specifically working on that muscle memory, on that extension, being strong in this position when you're right about to get your arm
I
started.
want to
So I'm
go
super,
back. I want to go back to
yeah,
that. I just really
yeah,
love the open up. I really love the open up, and I know we're looking from the waist up, right? Because the feet, of course, we're not doing a pivot foot, but the value
yeah,
of just understanding where the strength behind the hit comes from, right?
yes,
You look. A lot of people look, guys. A lot of people, you could throw a baseball kind of like this, right? And if you have some arm strength or whatever, it's still going to have some
yeah,
impact. But there's nothing in the world like doing this and
yeah,
then doing
yeah.
that. It's yeah,
I'll send you so you can actually check it out.
yeah.
It's literally, it hits on that perfect. It loads your swing
Mhm.
perfectly, because if you don't do it correctly, if you don't do it mechanically correctly, like if your arm doesn't go like past here when you attack, right? So
Start
literally
going.
opening up. If your arm is just in front of you, right? Like right here. So if you're hitting and your arm doesn't travel all the way back and opens up, it's not going to work. So it's giving you feedback as you're working on it. And so I have professionals using it. I have college kids using it. I have our juniors starting to using it to develop clean mechanics, good sequencing, and a lot of power, because we all want to hit harder, but it doesn't come from moving it comes from mechanics and having the proper load through that movement. And I'll send you, off
Yeah.
camera, I'll send a couple of units to you so you can check it out and play around with it. It
And we
feels, for a hitter, it feels amazing.
and we can name players on from not just players everybody knows, but from a regional perspective that don't necessarily have like a lot of body mass, but they hit the heck out of the ball because of the technique. We were just talking about Taylor Crabb, right? The guy can throw
Right?
down, right?
Absolutely, 100%.
I guess
Or
on
his
the beach
partner.
scene, like Sharif, right? Sharif's got very very good hits. Torques. East Coast guys, like my East Coast people, remember Ren Osborne back in the day? They
Yeah.
called him the Queen. That's not a guy that spends a lot of time in the weight room, but his technique is nasty.
Yeah,
Um,
and it's that sequencing, because a lot of guys, so you can see a fourth swing. Like we had when I was playing at Penn State, we had a couple of guys that got away with it, that they were hitting, in like mid 60s, right? But they got away with this choppy, like robotic looking swing. You can't
yeah.
find a pitcher that's not super loose with their arms. Yes, their arm slot is different than volleyball players, but if you look at pitchers, their arm is a slingshot. It's not. Yes, it is flex,
It's a
but
noodle.
it
It's a
all
noodle.
right. It comes from the hip, and then they rotate, and that thing just whips it. So this trainer, I'm super excited. I just started the company last year, so 2025. We just went live like a month ago, and we've sold out 5 times by now. And my big, because volleyball gave me so much, I want to give something back to the game, and it's difficult to give it on a broader spectrum. Like for example, the Swedish guy that popularized jump setting and attacking O2, right? They changed volleyball for the better.
I
You know
think
what I
so.
mean?
I,
Like,
I think it kept volleyball on its toes. I
right,
think
right, 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 right. And
I
so that's the next
yeah.
evolution. That's the next evolution. So how can you help? And obviously, I'm maybe super ambitious, but I love this game so much, and I've been in the square, and I've been through the grinds. I've been on the teams where I played a lot. I've been on the teams where I didn't play a lot. I've been on the teams when the coach, just before I came to US, I think this coach for the rest of my life, although he's passed away now, I was the least athletic, the least skilled player, 14, when I was training with the Ukrainian junior national team for feeder system, because they have schools over there. And he would. The only reason why I was there because my dad threw me in there because he had connections. I was not the athlete to be there,
No.
and so I just got hammered for like a year straight. Someone would get hurt, Alex, go play middle. Someone would get hurt, Alex, go play center. Someone would get hurt, Alex, go play outside.
Your cat's
And
stuck in a
so,
tree. Go call Alex and
right,
get the
right, right,
cat out
right.
of the
But you
tree.
remember, I was literally doing everything. And then in the middle of the season, the coach calls timeout. And this is Ukraine, right? This is where it's cold. The
Yeah.
windows are broken. So it's not like we have these luxury amenities, right? I'm playing in 2 pairs of socks with the 2-year-old shoes that have holes on the bottom of them. And so the coach calls a timeout. We're all sweaty. You can see the steam coming out. He looks at me dead in the eye. He goes, Alex, you're too short. You can't jump. You'll never be an outside hitter. And I was like, what?
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, we'll see about that.
Right.
In my mind. And so right after that, there was this bench, my best friend, 100 jumps every day, every practice. Sometimes we practice twice a day. People would leave and turn off the lights, right? And here I am, me and this bench, me and this bench, me and this bench. And so, I just happened to next summer grow 5 inches and put like 15 inches on my vertical. And then after that, that little man syndrome that we were talking about, that's where it all started. Most of the kids, the coach comes up and tells them that right now. I don't know if that is a conversation or a soul crushing, 15 seconds.
Right.
That the coach didn't make think about it, but he gave me everything. I mean, fire for that's me and a little man syndrome. Here we are.
And yeah, and for the people listening, little man syndrome, we always think of the physical thing. This is a huge metaphor for every sport, right? Cheering for the little guy is there's a reason why we cheer for the little guy, because there's this dynamic where half of their life, if not their whole life, they're told what they can't do. They're being told what they can and can't do, right? And,
we concentrate
we
concentrate so much on the 5% that you're bad at. And that's what I was actually had this conversation with my team the other day. I'm like, listen, we're concentrating. You guys are concentrating mentally. I know we all are doing that as an athlete, but you're concentrating where you're bad at. Right. You're forgetting that we're doing 80% fantastic. So let's make sure we understand that we're doing so many great things. Let's not that outweigh. Let's not make the 5% feel like it's 70%. You know what I mean? So let's not feel something that we suck at and become what we define ourselves as versus, hey, we're good. We're doing 80% great or 90% great. Let's not that negativity outweigh all the great stuff that we're doing. And I just see the light bulbs coming off, and they're like, yeah, I've been thinking that I'm concentrating on this 5%, and it's creating this gorilla that I don't feel good about myself. I don't feel confident. And now I'm like, yeah, I am doing a lot of good things. Okay, let's get to it. So I think that's a big thing that a lot of juniors and athletes in general concentrate, and it takes a mentor, a person who's been through that to be like, no, doing great. These little things, everyone is struggling. It is my job as a coach to say this is where we can get better. But let's not forget all the journey that we have done thus far and how much we've achieved. You only have that skill. It's just that last 5% are going to take a little bit longer than the other 15 that you just gained in 6 months. That's the love for the game. That's that I got to get those 5%. Are you willing to do what it takes? And if you are, you're going to get the result.
Do you think college recruiters or people trying to recruit kids cheat themselves and the kids because of this faux dynamic, right? Someone wants to be a middle or a OH. They want to go to this school, and everybody from the pundits all the way up to the recruiters are saying, you're considering your height and what they're looking for, forget it. It's not going to happen. It's never going to happen. And in that case, in terms of going to that particular university, they're right, because that's what they're looking for. And since we stumbled this way, I was going to jump back to the juniors or whatever, and process and preparation. But since we're here, let's explore the question of, are these recruiters and are these club coaches and all of these people cheating, not just themselves out of really talented players, but aren't they also cheating the game in the sense that every if you have a successful program, people want to mimic that success, and in turn and in pursuant to mimicking that success, oh, we don't do shorties, and I don't know how many times they need to be proven wrong. I mean, we got Pittsburgh, right? Pitt, you what was the girl's name? 5'9" chick or whatever.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm sure.
For
Huh?
TCU,
Yeah,
Melanie Cara from a couple of years ago.
yeah,
Yeah,
but I'm sure. Like, look, first of all, winding up at Pitt is gonna academically is gonna be good. You ain't going to USC. I'm sorry, that's not. I mean, they key and hard that it's an elite school. No, when I think of elite school, I think of academic schools, right? You were talking
yeah,
about Harvard.
yeah,
That's my
yeah, yeah,
wife's
yeah,
alma
yeah,
mater, right? Uh,
yeah.
um, Pitt is a smart kid school. Period. So, and it's in the ACC, which is not a power conference for women's volleyball, and
Yeah.
it's at an Ivy League school, which doesn't offer athletic scholarships. Right? They only offer Ivy League division is Division One, but Ivy Leagues do not. Just so you guys know, those are academics. They have
Yeah,
academic rights.
yeah,
Think about her, and I swear to God, I'm not using this one person as some straw man fallacy. Like, oh, he's just going with this one girl and riding it to the end. That's you and I just alone, and people listening, coaches or whatever, we've all seen it. This isn't. I'm gonna give you the floor, but this isn't consistent with people doing the impossible. It's basically a girl that wants it bad enough. A coach is like, all right, this is your reality, and this is the unfair part of this. And if you're willing to put up with this, you're gonna have to run 150 meters for the 100-meter dash, right? It's not
yeah,
fair, right? But if you understand that, that's my coach. That's Coach Gutor. That's my strength and conditioning coach. That's the step that we're going to be jumping on top, teaching kids how to land. Let's get to work. And I'm asking a question. It almost seems like a call for conclusion, and I want to leave it to you because you already started this conversation. Are recruiters and club coaches cheating themselves and kids because of the overemphasis of volleyball stereotypes?
I think so. And I have a couple of kids that I coach privately, like Peyton
You
and
can hold on. You
Scott.
guys can comment. We're live. You want to leave a comment, man? You want to ask?
Yeah, let's go.
Yeah, come on. Let's go. Sorry.
So I coach lots of kids, and there are a couple of that come to my Peyton and Sky, and they are quote unquote undersized kids. Like they're not 6'2", right? They are 5'9" and 5'10" or 5'11", right? And what I draw conclusions from is that the men's game is about 5 years ahead of women's game. Even though the girls are catching up now to how men are playing professionally, like meaning the physicality and the things that guys
Okay,
do,
got it. I was just gonna ask you in what sense. Got it.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Like the guys, for example, right now, and this is something we're working on our 16s team, where we have an outside hitter. Where do most players go to try to disrupt the other side? To the center, right? In the free ball scenario, right? So we have our setter now bumping the ball onto two, right? I have one of the girls, BK, jump up and pretend like she's gonna hit the ball, and she's either hitting the ball or setting the ball to the other person, right? That came from the guys' game. The
Agreed. Yeah.
right. So the guys are ahead of the girls of how they top spin jump serve. Everybody on the guys' side top spin jump serve, right? On the women's, not that many, and now it's starting to change. I mean, if you look at the NCAA statistics, if you look at the top five people that serve most aces, you'll find half of them, if not more, top spin jump servers, right? And so the skill, because I develop in our club, I develop skills because at the end of the day, the coaches on a next level, what they want to see is they want to see a player that's going to help them win. It's a yes or no. And right now with the transfer portal, right? You have to be ready to play right now. And if you know what those skills are and you're physical enough, if you're hitting at a certain speed, if you're, or the most important, if you're passing very well, which we train a lot on one-handed passing. And I know a lot of people sometimes walk by my court and they're like, what are they doing? We train a lot of one-handed passing with the volley light. And people like, wait, volley light and this, and it's all for the feel of the ball. It is so difficult to do, but if you can do this becomes a piece of cake. And so our strength of our team is all in passing. Our passing is really good. And so,
first hit's universal, man, right? Beach,
that's right.
Indoor,
that's right.
Volleyball, Planet Mars.
That's right. That's right. And so I think that there are certainly programs that understand that a great passer and a scorer can now come in different sizes. So girls for TCU, one of them I think that started all last year and had a fantastic year.
For indoor or beach?
Indoor.
Gotcha.
Indoor. 5'9" or 5'10", super athletic, puts the ball away super fast, really difficult to deal for the 6'2", 6'3" blockers, right? And so I always tell the girls that I coach, so those girls, I tell them, speed kills height, right? So you can have the tallest girl on the other side. If you're dynamic, you can do a lot more things with your mobility and ability to move fast, quick, adjust to the balls. There are certainly strengths that you have when you're tall and when you're strong, but you have to know how to use that. But now you see a lot of the girls that are coming up, or a decent amount of girls that are great overall players, like they have great pass, they can hit off the hands, they're great in defense. They may not be great blockers, right? But how often do you block in the match? Or how often do you block in the set? How often do you get a block kill in a set? Maybe like 2 or 3 times, right? And so it's a lot more important to be a great passer, hit the crappy sets or difficult sets, and be a great server and make up for 1 or 2 blocks that you may not get, and the other side is going to get a kill on. And so I do think that there is a lot of because those girls that are coming up, they're constantly being told, hey, you're not above 6 foot. Nah, it ain't happening, right? And so all of a sudden they have that little the Napoleon syndrome in them, and they're just dogs out there. They're grinding and just want to take your lunch in practice. They want to take your lunch in warm-ups, and those are the competitors that you want. Those are the people that are, at Penn State, I went to PAF, which I think this would be a great last point. I went to PAF, and I said, PAF, put me on the second team. Right? I was when we were playing in practice. I said, PAF, put me on the second team. And he looks at me, he's like, why? I go, I'm not challenged. Like the second team, we've conquered that. It's not hard. I'm not challenged, and I feel like difference between hitting against Matt Anderson or Max Holt or Matt Proper or Dan Odell, some of those taller guys that we had on the first team, is a lot more challenging to me than it is to hit over some of the 6'2", 6'3" guys, right? So I want to challenge our starting lineup. I want to challenge myself. And all of a sudden, the level of our competition and practice rose much higher, and because I was a competitor, I'm competitive at anything. Hey man, we want to see who's going to do more
game of
push-ups?
checkers.
Right. Who's going to get in front of this car so we can get it and save 30 seconds of their trip? And that's me. You know, you want to see who, and I still play 4-on-4 tournaments. Are you talking smack? Don't talk smack to me. You don't want to do that.
It's like giving Popeye spinach. Yeah, I know.
You don't want to do that. I'm gonna give you one last pass because in about 5 seconds, where you're about to open up something you don't want to open up, and then they go there, and I'm like, let's go. You want this? Let's go. All right, give me the ball.
That's knowing your team too, right? Like, I said something about TJ DeFalco, like someone thought what I said was negative about him, but I remember him playing in the Olympics against Brazil, right? And I think he got a block. And the celebration, you get a scream, but the scream lasted like 2 seconds longer than the regular scream. And and as a general rule, right? Okay, we're American players, this and that. But if you're playing international ball, there's three teams you let a sleeping tiger lie. One is Brazil. The other is the Russians, and the third team is the Italians, right? Now, what I thought that TJ learned in that entire Olympics is sometimes if you're beating a team, they're trying to work out stuff internally. But if you want them to ever put their differences aside in that moment, do something across the net that's gonna make them just re-energize. Like maybe Jiba and Dante were arguing. They're not arguing anymore. Cause you know why? Because they got a new enemy, right? So TJ, I think, who's this really highly competitive, fiery player. I had the pleasure of watching him, live at Long Beach State because one of our mutual friends, Richard. He's the only black guy. He was the other OH before the Norwegian guy. Like, they had a good 3-man dynamic. But TJ learned something very valuable. One, he knows when to let a sleeping tiger lie, and two, it never stopped him from coming with that same energy. That game, they caught up to him. They roofed him off the court, and the next team, like the next team that are emotional, probably saw that video like, oh, we're coming after that kid. And I really love that he took the learning experience and he just kept on swinging. Man, that guy did not care. He just, I was like, there was a little bit of an arrogant dynamic that rubbed me the wrong way about him at Long Beach State. But I like that he didn't play the victim. I like that he didn't want out. Because I ain't trying to disrespect no players, but there's some players that get ace, and we as coaches were like, okay, that guy wants out, and Speroni need to get that guy's behind out, because we as coaches, we're not trying to disrespect people because we're not on the court with them, but we're like, yeah, that guy wants out. TJ never wants out. TJ never saw a set he didn't like, and I actually had more of a respect for him in the losses than I would ever in him in Long Beach State in that 2-year run, the 2-title run, running a rough shot over everybody going into Hawaii, which was a very competitive finals and a very competitive Big West championship game too, because that to me at the time, that was the best conference in the NCAA. You know the dynamic shift. Like there was 100%. Like MIVA, I remember had like 2 teams play each other in the finals, right? Like Lewis and IPF.
It's so easy. It's baffling to me now that the other teams are like catching up athletically. Like EIVA used to, we just roll through everybody, right? And even in MIVA, we would also kind of roll through everyone. Like I don't remember having that but
you had early hotel reservations to the Final Four. I know that.
Right. Yeah, it wasn't easy, right? And I went to 4 Final Fours, and I started in all 4 Final Fours, which is a really difficult to do on in itself, because at one of our to give people perspective on the height of the teams, like, so one of the tallest team that we had, the lineup, we had so Denodel was our setter. He's like 6'6", 6'7". Same thing. Our opposite Matt Prover was also like 6'6", 6'7". Then we had 2 middles. One of them was Nate Meerstein. He's like close to 6'10", over 6'10". Then we have Max Holt, right, who we all know who he is. And then we have Matt Anderson as our OH, one of the outside hitters. And then we had a libero, Aaron Smith, who is 6'6", 6'7", and then there was a little Alex right here at
Yeah.
6'4", among these giants, scoring. And so I think that the ultimate competitors are kids that are a little bit undersized. And yeah, sure, there are competitors that are tall, but I think the ultimate competitors are kids that are slightly undersized, but they have minimum necessary. And so I had minimum necessary. Have I been 6 foot? I don't know if I would have been as good of a player as Taylor.
I think you would have, because it would have made you work harder, right? Like
I don't know. I think 6 foot versus 6'4", 6'5" is a quantifiable difference, which I don't know if I would have been like, I give him all the props because he opened up
a player of the year.
That height level.
Yeah.
He opened up that height level. Before, it was like 6'3", 6'4" is a minimum necessary. So like I said, on all these teams that I played, in Russia and Germany and France and Greece and all those different teams where I played, I was minimum necessary. Everybody was super tall, right? But he opened up a whole different level, and I'll give him props for opening that up. So guys below 6'4", so between 6 and 6'4" is our outliers, right?
I was just gonna say that. Yep. God bless the 6 footer to the 6'4". You know why? Because the ones that are taller don't jump high enough because they don't need to, and the ones that are shorter are doing the best they can, but they're not high enough. God bless the super athletes known as the 6 footers to the 6'4" people, right? And also not everybody's built the same, right? Oleksiy, I'm 6'1", right? What do you think? My wingspan, in theory, is supposed to be 73 inches. My wingspan's 80 inches. my wingspan, I'm a walking group hug here. Actually, I wanted to read some of the comments. Let's see. The Great Librarian says, just soaking in the knowledge and loving the NLP reframing conversation about shifting the focus from the fifth negative to the majority, net positive. I like that. Melissa, Texas, representing Houston, says the best decision Melanie Parra made was to leave Texas as a DS serving TCU, specialist and transfer to TCU as a rotation player.
I give her an example all the time.
5'11", but let's finish that. 5'11", first team All-American.
Yeah, Jason. So I just actually talked to Jason earlier today from TCU. Fantastic coach. Yeah. If you have an opportunity, play for Jason. Play for TCU.
Or Hector. How about that? Play beach or indoor. Yeah. Or Hector. Sorry.
Right. Well, at the beach. So TCU is fantastic. Our school at SMU is right here. 2 local schools are fantastic. It's competitive. They're top 10 schools, top 15 schools in the nation. It's competitive, but if you have an opportunity and you're a local player, I would definitely recommend with going to TCU or going to SMU. That Jason is doing fantastic job. He got Melanie Parra to come over, and he did a great job of coaching her up, of making her the player that she is, and she lit the NCAA on fire.
Didn't she? So Wasn't she ridiculous? Wasn't she ridiculous?
Right. I was sitting there and I was watching. I was like, that reminds me of me. I know exactly what this girl is going through. I know that she found the right coach, right situation. And again, if you have an opportunity, TCU, if you are able to get into TCU, Jason is doing a fantastic job with his program. And I often talk to the high-level kids that I coach. I'm like, look, I know there are other schools that you're potentially targeting. Jason is doing a fantastic job. SMU is doing fantastic job with kids. Stay home, work really hard on these skills that you need to work on to play on that next level. Because a lot of kids in club, good kids, they don't have competition. They don't know what competition is because it goes outside hitter 6'2", outside hitter 6'2". Next outside hitter is 5'9". So they're the really good kids. they don't have competition. But what they don't realize is that when you get to that next level, to TCU or SMU or Penn State or any of those big schools, you look to the left, you look to the right, and everyone is, Illinois Player of the Year. So I was Texas volleyball, men's volleyball player or boys volleyball player of the year. Top 50 recruits in my class. There were 3 or 4 top 50 recruits in the country. After my sophomore year, there's only 3 of us that remained out of 6. So what people don't understand, like high school doesn't matter. It's just a check mark.
Agreed.
One of the 4, I think, a 4th page in our booklet at Penn State says, don't care what you did in high school. You're gonna look left. You're gonna look right. They're all gonna be eye to eye, same athletic ability,
right.
And the only competitive advantage that you may have are your skills.
Well, you use the high school and club system to get where you got to go. But like you just said, once you get there, you got to erase that and move forward. It's a
big jump. It's a big jump.
Yeah, I have a degree in theater performance from Marymount Manhattan College. All right, and listen, when I'm auditioning for a play or whatever, I'm not going to put my high school play. When you're looking for work, or when because you know why? Because I don't want to sound cold, but nobody cares, right? That's the only negative thing I'm going to say in this uber positive moving forward podcast that you did a great job steering. I think the other thing that comes into play, what we were talking about, was the ascension and dynamic shift of Texas volleyball in general, right? I would like to highlight the transition of just hard working. I was going to say superior coaching, but superior is not a word those coaches want to use to describe themselves, but they will describe themselves as hardworking, right? Just hardworking, caring, spending the extra time. There was a huge transition where it went from this California dominated thing, like you had to come here and bend the knee, to Texas saying we bow to no man, and you know what, we're whatever talent you get in California, we're going to pay the money to get them, right? So great homegrown talent. Like Russell Brock was a USC guy, but he loves LSU, right? Stein Metzger, a good move for him for Texas for their beach program. Highlighting TCU, I would really love Power to maybe her graduate year when her eligibility is up, just play maybe I don't know if she'll start in the pair 1, but maybe go one season with their beach team. Heck, because you talked about how great a coach Jason is. Hector, that dude is so talented. And every time, I was at LMU with John Mayer for like a year and a half. And I really enjoyed just having conversations. It's hard to get that guy out for dinner and talk to him, but I really enjoyed watching how his mind works. So I just wanted to highlight and salute the hard work the entire state of Texas at every level, the Division 3, 2, 1, whatever. Like you got some D2 teams that could clean people's clock. You got some D3 teams that could clean people's clock. It is wild.
It is impressive, and also DFW, so Dallas Fort Worth area, is mecca for juniors girls volleyball. Mecca.
Is that Skyline and the Frogs?
Mecca.
Yeah.
Just based on the athletic profile of kids, right? Because just the sheer quantity of athletic abilities here. Yep. And I know that because I lived everywhere. Yep. I've played, all over the world. I've trained juniors all over the world, and just I am coaching some of the top 15-year-old and 16-year-old kids that are coming up. I'm coaching some 10, 11-year-olds that are future All-Americans. They don't even know it. They're baby giraffes that knocking off things and barely walking. But we're structuring that, and the our club Volley Pro is that's what it is. Like I am putting volleyball and professional together, professional approach, professional mechanics, and so I teach these kids not because the outcome of the match is one thing, but you getting better, it's a whole different thing. If you want to play in college, you want to learn how to have the skills, and just if you're winning a very high level tournament, it's an achievement. But that doesn't guarantee that you're going to get a starting lineup in in the biggest school. I mean, you see it even with MLB, where the girls coming out and they're superstars in college, and all of a sudden they have to sit for a season. They have to figure out how to play, whereas they've been stars on that level. And so what there's a big difference between high school and Division I. There's a big jump from Division I to professional volleyball. Right. And so what I'm coaching, what we're coaching, when we're having really good success with Volley Pro is we're teaching those skills to the girls. I don't chase wins. It feels great, right? The wins feels great. My whole thing is that, can I give you the skills? Can I prepare you for the collegiate way to score points? Because in college, at a Division I level, your margins become very thin. That blocker that in high school, that's middle blocker that's not connecting, and you have a window this big to hit every single time. Guess what? At a Division I level, it's a 6'2" girl, and right next to her, another 6'3" girl, and you can't squeeze the ball in there. Right?
Well, because of the discipline of the block.
Right. And they're more athletic, they're better. So you're getting the way to score in college is very different than you scoring in high school. And so the trick is, can I teach these girls how to score in high school, but they can score in college already that way? Right. Can I teach them the college skills? Because guess what? It's still going to work on juniors. If you're in a position 4 and you're setting a fastball that's no higher than the antenna, and you hit crossbody as a right-handed hitter, if you hit crossbody and hit deep 1 without looking, without turning your shoulders, full swing, good arm, it's going to score now. It's going to score at a Division I level. If you know how to hit off the blocking hands, it's going to score now. It's going to score on the highest level. If you know how to hit deep 1, deep 5, if you know how to attack pipe very quickly and hit cross body to 1 at a very high point of contact while your shoulders are facing to 5, it's going to score now. It's going to score on the next level.
Bang on.
So, right. And I coach from the standpoint of, hey, that's cool. I know we're scoring, but can we learn how to score at a professional level?
Right.
And at your speed. So if you're 14, I'm still going to teach you how to hit shoulders facing the 5, hit cross body. I'm still going to teach you how to pass properly, and the difference between mechanics and a feel for the ball. So we're going to learn all those college and professional skills early on at your speed, and put on strength training on top of that, and mindset, and so forth and so on, and build you into what professional volleyball players are, because our kids here are plenty physical capable of executing all those moments. They just need to know what those are, be able to quantify, and be in the environment where temporary failure is expected. It's part of the process.
Of course. And we're going to explore the I think the secret of the success in Texas coaching was who's starts it, who are they passing the baton to, who's taking the baton, and how they run with it, right? A little quick thought. Lewis Richard, that was the guy's name, Long Beach State. I totally forgot, but I wanted people to remember. Lives in Chicago right now. Very classy dude. And I also had a trivia question too. Like Texas A&M won the NCAA championship last fall,
Who was
right?
their coach? Who was their coach?
Tell me. You tell them.
So his background. So Texas A&M won, right? Mm-hmm. If you look at Jamie's profile, he has been coaching on an international level.
Yeah.
Most of the time.
I'm 90% sure I've met that guy. He's been everywhere.
He's been everywhere.
I'm 100% sure I met that guy. I just don't remember where. I'm because I've been everywhere.
Yes.
There's a 3 degrees of separation from like all of us. I swear to God. But hold on. But my question was, trivia question.
Yeah.
How many players on that roster are homegrown? We're from Texas. Trivia question for everybody out there.
So they probably have a roster of about 18. Right? Are we talking starting lineup or full team?
Well, I already know the answer.
I know.
On their roster. on their
On the
internet,
roster.
on
So
their
out of
tech, on their
18, how many are homegrown?
how many of them
Uh,
are represent Texas?
I'm gonna say 9.
13.
13?
13 players that I don't know if someone from California
Powerhouse.
I don't know if someone from
Powerhouse.
California ticked off someone with oil money, right? And says, "Oh, okay, son, sometimes the best way to beat a good old boys club is to make your own." Right? So
Right.
I don't know if that's what happened, but that is what's happening. But I wanted to stay on target, and we can explore Jamie in a minute. I wanted to stay on target in regards to passing the baton, and this is where I think the difference is. First of all, everybody's teaching 10-year-olds, 12-year-olds, or whatever, and 8 and 9s. 8 and 9s, let me tell you something. Teaching kids rotation, that's God's work. All right. And I can't, we can't thank you enough. Teaching kids rotation. Because once
100%.
once you learn it, you can't unlearn it. Once you teach a kid serve,
Yeah.
receive, or whatever,
Yeah, our
and once
coach
you
Lindsay.
can't,
So
you
our
cannot
coach
unlearn that.
Lindsay,
In fact, they
coaches
could teach it, right?
13 and 8-year-olds.
Yeah.
And I came to watch her coach
Mhm.
8-year-olds because she has a daughter on an 8-year-old team and our 13-year-old team who's 11. And what she's doing with the younger kids is exceptional. She's teaching them how to serve, how to rotate, proper mechanics.
God's work.
God's work.
It
God's
really
work.
is.
And the beautiful part is that I am mentoring her on what are the skills to teach. So she has a whole, because when you play rec, most of the time your coach is a parent that maybe played, maybe didn't play. And so that's where the bad habits can start, right? And so she's doing a fantastic job with the younger kids here in DFW to bring them out and have a very clear mechanics and understand, hey, I'd rather have this right here long term, even if you're not passing well, better than something like this and maybe works right now where the kid is more comfortable. I'd rather put in the work to get to here,
right,
and have that platform serve you when you start being 10 and on,
right,
versus right now worrying about the wins and who's going to serve 5 serves in a row.
But here's where I'm going with this, right? You
Yeah.
got USYVL, good for them. They're teaching little tiny people how to use their hands, right? Then you
Yeah.
got 10s and 11s, and you're gonna have some kids. Wow, even at 11, you're like, wow, this kid's gonna be a beast someday, right? And then you have Frosh, and then you have JV, then you have whatever, and that's where it gets messy. You have these great coaches. This is what California and Texas have in common. All of the coaches involved in 10s, 11s, 12s, and 13s are just the best of the best. I'm with LA Volleyball Club. I took 1 year a sabbatical to travel, do color commentary, and check my bucket list. But Jason Olive, big. I mean, I don't think there's anyone better at 11s and 12s. Tom Chafin's from who's the head coach of Redondo. He just resigned or just retired.
I know Jason. I know,
But like Coach Tom Chafin's, who's the head coach of Redondo, or retired, his best work wasn't with Redondo. It was 11s, 12s, and 13s. So now that you got these kids that show this promise, you're now passing the baton to the juniors coaches at that level or the high school levels. And I think where Texas has succeeded, where California failed, we have a lot of glorified babysitters out here. This is where I'm going to get a little bit negative, and I'll give it back to you to keep it positive because you've been fantastic. There's a lot of people that enlist these kids, the best or whatever, and just make sure they don't beat themselves, right? And then you know what happens? They run into these real teams and they don't know what to do, right? And it's a shrinking demographic of really, really good juniors coaching from 14s all the way up, right? J.O.'s own daughter, Kalyani Olive, right, transferred to Sierra Canyon, and you got like 7 players that have Division I commitments. 2 girls going to Nebraska, and Kalyani, like, the coach wants to win. So you're like, wow, everyone's coming to watch this girl who's committed, and Kalyani's not, right? So and Kalyani's starting over girls who are committed, right? So I think where Texas is succeeding is they're passing the baton to people who are you have to take the ball and run with it, right? Like, I'll land by saying this: Shakespeare, William Shakespeare, right? One of the best playwrights in the history of playwriting.
Yeah.
Shakespeare took all of the characters from Seneca, which was a Greek tragedy playwright. And Shakespeare's characters, the ghost from Hamlet, the good guy, the sidekick, or the Robin to the Batman, the bad guy, Gaston. Remember Gaston had someone follow him around, the Assassinator. They call him the Assassinator.
Yeah.
All of these are Senecan characters. Shakespeare took what Seneca had and ran with it, and to a point where it's his. And I only use that example because it's just the easiest way for me to have people understand that you got some good 13s, you got some good 14s. Who's got them now at 15, 16, and 17? Are they glorified babysitting, or are they honing them and pushing them a little further? And at the same, not too much where they don't want to come to practice, right? I totally get, and you'll love this statement. If you've never hated volleyball in your entire career, you've never competed hard enough. So there's definitely going to be a point where you do hate it, but you want to come to practice and you want to make this environment. And since you have a thought, I'm going to stop and let you take over.
I think that we have some very talented 10 and 11-year-olds. We have I'm coaching a couple on our club.
God's work, man.
Like Layla and Haley, we have a 10-year-old who's playing at 13s, and she's top spin jump serving at 10. That's right? She's strong enough. She's got, and at the beginning of the season, and I love this. I absolutely love to tell the player when we worked on top spin jump serve, when we're in a tournament, when we're up by 5 or 7 points, I look at them, because I usually don't tell the servers where to serve. I give them the creative freedom to decide, because I don't know how they feel, right? There are some strategic elements that we talk about, but I want them to be their own decision makers and own their good serves and own their failures and learn from them and evolve and find what it is that you can bring, what is the best thing that's in you, and how can you benefit the team the most. And so I love these, and I had the same thing with her sister, who was Liliana. She was playing at 13. She was playing 16. She went from a middle to a best passing and a top scorer on our team within a year and a half, which was fantastic. And so when it comes time, and I tell them, okay, top spin jump serve, the first answer is no. Like, the whistle is blown, and they're like, no, exactly. They're like, no. I go, yes, right now. Time's ticking. Time to serve. And then they're like, me now? Yes. And so they toss the ball, and then usually what happens the first time? They serve under the net, right? And then they look at me, and then they're like, see, coach?
What did I tell you, coach?
I'm not ready. And I go, okay. Next time they go around, they go again in the middle of tournament, right? The parents don't know that we're gonna do this. The teammates don't know. The players don't even know. And so I'm like, again. And so they're like, well, I've already tried. I'm like, go. No, stop thinking. Just do it. They top, and then the next thing is that they serve over the net, and it's an ace. And all of a sudden they're like, yay. I go, you see?
Yeah.
And then they're like, yes. I go, do more of that. And so I believe that, and I have I'm coaching privately another girl, Alicia. She's going to be great. She's 11. She's been top spin jump serving in our sessions since she was 9.
I love it.
Top spin, like really good toss, 5-step approach, arm perfect. I mean, everything's right. So I have very many of these kids that are young, that have professional level mechanics at their own age, at their own speed. So I'm not expecting them to run, a shoot set to the outside and be able to hit. Now we simulate that in
that'll come, yeah.
So they can see that, so they can try that in a structured environment where I'm setting, and they have time to adjust to that. But so when the youngs get really good, then you get to 14, 15, and 16, and that's where the separating happens height-wise and athletic abilities, right? So some kids just stop physically growing, and some kids continue to grow and finally get into their bodies. It's like the Puerto Ricans on the guy side, they dominate sub 14 because they have mustache at 14,
Yeah, they
right?
do. Hair in
And
the
then
back of their neck.
right. That's right. And then, but then you have, the American kids catch up, and all of a sudden, this lanky dude, all of a sudden, they can't walk at 12 because his arms are too long, but he's still not tall. All of a sudden, they become 6'8", 6'9", and then they catch up, right? But so at that age, at that 14, 15, 16, that physical ability becomes clear, right? And people usually ride that wave. Hey, I'm more physical than others, players and the coaches. They ride that fact that, hey, I am tall enough, I'm physical enough, I'm more physical than all of your teammates. You know what's happening right now at SMU or TCU, at Penn State? While you're 16 and you are 6 foot or 5'10", and you have athletic, great. You know that your skill level is here, and you need to be right here.
You're gonna need to,
and the time is ticking
because you're gonna need something to fall back on. When the competition gets higher. Yeah.
Right. You're in the skill acquisition game. If you're 15 and you're great against 15-year-olds, that's great. At Penn State, at TCU, at Nebraska, at SMU, at all these big schools, everybody's good. Everybody is good.
Yep.
And what works at 15 is not going to work at a high-level Division I university,
right,
or Division II or Division III. So the name of the game for these 14 and on, so 10 to 14, you're really learning what is your position? Where do you have your natural aptitude? Because we all know some middles are just middles. You can't craft them into a center, right? Some outside hitters, meaning that they like, for example, Max Holt, he may say that he would be able to play outside. No chance. The guy doesn't know how to pass.
No.
Right. And so in 10 to 14, you kind of figure out what is your strength. Like, are you a good passer? Are you a good? So you're not battling against the river, right? Like, some skills come naturally to you. So some kids are naturally good at setting. You can develop that, but there's this natural ability where you can pick a skill where you're naturally gravitating to you, and it's easier for you than other skills, right? So you figure out what your gift is. What is your best position from 10 to 14? Then you get into that 14 to 16 where you can kind of shift. You can make last-second adjustments, but usually it's outside to libero or middle to right side. Some of those compatible skills that you can take.
So important.
And go they're very compatible, right? And but after 15, you're in the college level skill acquisition game. Not in the winning. Winning feels great, but if you have an opportunity and you want to play at the next level, it's about acquiring those professional and college level skill. And that's exactly what I bring to the table. I'm like, great. I've been through juniors. I went to a high-level Division I school where I had to battle against 6'10" guys, and it was difficult, but I did it. And then at one point, I'll remember this for the rest of my life. We were in a huddle, Pav's talking, and I can't see the guy. I can't see the guy because everybody around me is taller, and not just by an inch. They're
I guess you got to go under. you got to go under.
Trees move. I hear him, but I don't see him. And then I went and played professionally. And then again, I started from the bottom, right? And I had to learn how to play, how to adapt that to that international game, that it's a higher level than college. And so now I'm teaching kids, and I'm a big proponent of professional level skills and mechanics at an earlier age, because they work then and they will work now.
And the
sooner you learn them, the easier your path is going to become. And it's a very specific set of skill set. It's not emotional. You shouldn't be romanticizing about, well, if I'm an outside hitter, it should be all about hitting and not passing.
Yeah, exactly.
It's all about passing. I'm sorry, you're going to need to learn how to do that. And guess what? You're 15 or 14 and you have 3 more years to learn how to pass. I'm pretty sure you can get a college degree in 3 years. So you
And
can figure out how to pass.
but
you
this
have
is
to be very concentrated on it.
But coach, this is also why, like, not everybody. I remember in the beginning of the podcast, we had a conversation about coaching being just a separate occupation, right? We could have a really fun, easy conversation about conquering certain kids playing at a level, going to nationals at that level, and conquering their demons at that level. What we're talking about is the fear people face from now that I'm the biggest fish in this little pond. I'm about to jump in the deep ocean, and the first time I see a great white, it's going to scare the crap out of me. And that's where I think good coaching and preparing them for that next level comes into play. For example, like both of us, we're competitive. I was a super athlete. New York, you got to play the big three sports, right? Basketball, football, whatever.
That's right.
Baseball. I'm learning baseball and I'm just good at it. And I'm so good at it. I didn't even know that I was hitting right-handed until like a year in, like I'm lefty, right? And I'm just on the plate and then somebody, and I'm having a good time. I'm hitting the crap out of the ball. And then someone from the crowd is like, Jason, you're going to hit righty all day? And I just go, and I switch. And I'm like, this feels good.
And so I want to make a really important point in here.
No, but
how to support your athlete as a parent,
right?
Because very few parents actually played volleyball
at
a high level.
Well, hold on. Let me land with this because it goes into what you're saying.
Okay, yeah.
So one day I play against older kids.
Yeah.
And someone threw a 91-mile-an-hour fastball at me, and it was the first time I've seen something like I'm sitting there and people throwing 70s or 60s or whatever, and someone threw a fastball at me 20 miles an hour faster, and it scared the living crap out of me. And because I didn't have the guidance, I stopped playing baseball. I'm like, this is the next level. I can't do it. I'm scared. Right.
Yeah.
And the reason why I interrupt you because I thought it would seep directly into what you were talking about.
Yeah.
And then and it's every sport, right? You basketball, you think you could finally dunk, and then all of a sudden you got guys that are just like, trying to scoop dollar bills off the top of the backboard, right? And make change,
without
right?
A warm-up. Without a warm-up.
Right? Without a warm-up, right? You got football, right? And someone tackles you, and they got good technique, and then you run to a level where someone hits you. And then you're like, I am scared, and I'm getting what I want, but do I want what I get? And I'm only finishing with that because I thought that's where you were going to start. How do parents, how do coaches, or the combination of them guide these kids from understanding this level, and they think they can do this, and then hitting this, not a brick wall, but just this, we described it better, right? Big fish, little pond. Deep ocean, great whites. Stay with the parents thing if you want to, but I want I'm very happy to just have someone that knows what the heck they're talking about. But I wanted you to cover that too.
Yes. So we as athletes run into the wall. All of us have. All of it. You can go back and look at Jordan got cut from his team, right? Kobe had difficulties as well. Wasn't the best player. So we all you have to understand that all the great athletes, all the professional athletes, they run into brick walls. And Roger Federer's famous quote that every single person needs to know. And if you don't know that, I'm happy that I'll say it. He goes, in my professional career, I won 80% of my matches, right? So he won out of 1,000 games, he won 800, right? Within those matches, I only won 54% of points. So he's 4% away from losing.
From playing 500 ball, yeah.
Right. So close to losing, and he's one of the greatest, right? And so for athletes, the fear, they have to understand the easiest thing to kind of battle that mental block that we all get is to understand that everyone goes through this. Every single person, every athlete, sooner or later on their journey, whether it's at the beginning or towards the middle, you run into the wall, and then you think it's only happening to you, right? Like, why me? Why is it happening to me? But it actually happens to every single person. And once you understand, okay, I'm not the only one who is like feeling anxious, or something is hurting and I have to play through that pain, or I'm not getting along with all of my team. Once you understand that that's the process, now the trick is, what do I need to learn internally, mindset wise, and more important, and most importantly, like physically, what do I need to do? What is that? When you break it up, is like, if you don't have confidence, well, where does the confidence come from? Confidence comes from competence. Where does competence come? What is competence? Is you being able to perform a certain skill. How do you get competent at something? How do you become better at skill? You practice it, right? So if you have a difficulty of serving, right, of just standard serve, and you think it's a mental block and you'll never be going to be able to serve, then you look around, you're like, wait, that person went the same way. That person went through the same trouble where they weren't sure about their serve. They thought that everybody was looking at them, and oh my God, I lost the point. That's it. I'll never play volleyball the rest of my life. No, you just gotta say, oh, it is happening to everybody. Yes. You need to move into solution oriented mindset and be able to identify and have a coach who supports you through your failures, through the dip, and says, okay, you're here, right? Even though you started here and then you went up here and then you ran into something, you're already progressing. So now what you need to continue doing, you already have that skill. Now you have to continue unlocking that skill and put away your wantingness to succeed, right? That dopamine, that feeling good, just put it away for 6 months and work on that one specific thing. What you will see is that if you identify what that thing is, what mechanics go into it, how can you practice in the game, and you put away that dopamine hit that you want to do, because you want to get it at 5 seconds, and it's going to take, if professional mechanics took as quickly as we want them to take, you and I be playing on PGA Tour.
Yeah.
Right? I would go to a golf coach, be like, hey, teach me how to play golf.
Let's
right?
go.
But every single athlete runs into that wall, and it's a skill of how to get to that next level. And you have to understand that every athlete runs into that.
Yeah, very, very, my goodness, very, very good. Yeah, and I like that because that applies to conquering your level, current
Right.
level. It's a
It's
one
skill
stop.
level.
It's a one stop shop, right? To
Right.
conquering your whatever
Right.
and this and that. I've
Right.
always you probably heard me say this before on multiple episodes, but I think Chael Sonnen, an MMA fighter, said it best. He said they tell you losing's not an option. I think that's absolutely ridiculous. Losing is an option. Losing is the most readily available option all the time. So if you're in one of these situations where like you said, where you feel like you need to win and it's tight and it's tensions, two things you need to remember. One, the other team's feeling the same thing, right?
They also want to win
And
too.
two,
Right?
yeah, and two, it's natural. Like we as athletes, especially men, we treat it like this unnatural feeling because we might think it's a sign of weakness, and men don't. I mean, competitive women. I'm using men as an example, but girls who play like dudes, right? Competitive women feel the same thing, and us as coaches, we have to remind them, hey, this is not unnatural. Chill out. Next play, right? Or we could let negative talk creep up in their head, like, nice swing, idiot,
Then you learn more from your losses than you learn from your failures. I'll give you a perfect example. My son, 12, Becca, played a golf tournament. He didn't shoot what he wanted to shoot, and he was so upset. He's like, Dad, I failed, and he was just getting into himself, right? I'm like, okay. I was trying to talk to him, and then I was like, okay, son, come over here, sit down. He was like crying. He'll probably be embarrassed I said that he was crying, but he was crying. And so at 10 at night, I set him down. I went on YouTube and I showed him a match of Penn State playing UCLA at home. We lost that match. It was a final match, and I have this ring right here from finishing second.
Right.
So I didn't win the title. I finished second, and I said, son, look right here. This is part of the journey. Failure. Look, there's like 7,000 people that are watching. I'm on ESPN2. I'm in front of, like, I am actually in the square, and I'm failing. Look, with all of I still remember that. But
what year was that?
That's right. That drove me so much. It still drives me.
What year was that? Sorry, what year was that?
2006.
Got it. Oh, good. Now I'm drawing the picture. Got it.
This is what still drives me to because I did not win that game. It still drives me to be strength training all the time at home. I strength training 5-6 times a week. It's what drives me to give that hunger to give that to the next generation of players. The hungriness, the competitiveness, and equip them with the skills. That's what drives me to also educate parents on what does it take to support your own kid for them to succeed. Because, a lot of parents try to helicopter their kids, and they're protecting them from losing. And as soon as they get uncomfortable, and there's various degrees of that. So some parents do let them fail, right? Some parents are like trying to control that environment, and I'm like, failure is absolutely a life lesson. We're literally every day we're battling some sort of difficulty here or there, traffic light or my car or whatever, we're always battling something. And the sports are a perfect way on the spot to fail a lot, to win a lot, to overcome your fears, to overcome all of your barriers that you have. And so one of the advice that I give to a lot of parents is I say, listen, this is the best that your kids has ever been. And your kid only knows their best. Right now, they're 15 or 14 or 10 years old. This is the best that they've ever been. The game moves the fastest it ever moved for them. Mm-hmm. I've played on the next level. For me, this is at snail speed. Not to take away from athletic abilities of these girls and what they're doing, but the professional level volleyball versus high school volleyball. I still warm up. I was helping the Pulse team from MLV to train them up as one of the practice players, right?
Right.
Like it's still what you consider high speed. For me, it's slow. It's like an NBA player coming to a high school basketball game, or an MLB player coming to a baseball high school game, right? Like it's moving very slow, which is an advantage because we can really break down what we need to do and really improve how you play with the skills that work on a next level at a play where you're not required right now to be that high of a level of a player. Does that make sense?
It makes complete sense. But I think the one thing, way different levels, but the one thing that you can convey to them, and it's what you just said, and this is important for parents. The first time a kid will ever experience a loss isn't a sporting event, right? Like the majority of every kid's life, the first time they actually have to deal with a loss is, I mean, look, if you're a champion spelling bee and you lose in the finals of that, good for you, man. You're gonna do a lot better than we are. We're just, we're just in a different grind, right?
I'm stealing that, by the way. That's a great line. Yeah. I'm stealing that. That's amazing.
Well, you already said it. You just said it the long way, and I consolidated it with it, which is weird because you're usually the to the point guy, and I'm usually the guy that goes on this long tirade to answer questions. So that was quite the opposite effect. Hold that thought for a minute. I want to change the cartridge, the recording cartridge.
Let's go. We're doing this. That's awesome.
This thing only holds 2 hours and 26 minutes. So.
All right. Oh, we're right on that pace. That's awesome. Let's set a record here. I love chatting volleyball, man. Like it really. There's so much awesome stuff, and they say that volleyball is a very small sport. Like everybody knows everybody. And so
it is incestuous, right? It really is.
Everybody knows everybody. And you can find somebody who's friends with somebody. And so I want to finish the thought for the parents.
Please, yeah, I did too. Yeah,
because it's really important because a lot of the parents haven't played volleyball, and this may strike a nerve, but I'll relate it to myself, and I'll be a little vulnerable in this moment. So what sport did you play? You played what? Baseball?
baseball, basketball, and football. And when you're from Brooklyn, you have to play all three.
Fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
What the hell is offensive tackle?
OT? Yeah. What is it?
I don't know. Right? So when you play that game, you understand what that person does. When you watch a football game, you can be like, oh, wow, he is a great offensive tackle. He did this poetry in motion, right? Like you can describe that. Wow, he did this, that opened up this, that did that. All of a sudden, the quarterback was able to make that pass. I'm just making stuff up. I have no idea, right? So when I'm looking at the football, like when I'm watching NFL, I'm like, wow, this is really cool. I kind of understand the game, but I really don't understand what's happening. Like I don't understand the intricacies of that. Right. I'm like, why didn't the quarterback throw in the replay? It looks like that guy was wide open. Why didn't he throw it to him? Right? And Monday night quarterbacking, right? And so I don't understand. So I have no way of going to a football coach and be like, listen, man, so we need to this, and why isn't this happening, right? And because I don't understand. One thing I do understand is volleyball. And so a lot of the
parents,
very many parents, they haven't played volleyball. So they don't know what they're looking at the same way I don't know what offensive tackle does, right? And so the best way because kids, coaches, and parents all have the same goal, which is making the kid better at volleyball. That's the number one thing that we have in common in a positive environment, in a challenging environment, in a gritty environment, in a respectful environment, in an environment how the athletes are brought up, right? Not screaming at them or yelling. I don't believe in that. I've had all sorts of coaches. Yelling that's not it. Holding accountable versus yelling are two different things. And I think that I'm not a yeller. None of my coaches that I will hire or keep on will ever be yellers because I just don't believe in that.
I don't think it's sustainable. I think there's a time.
Fear-based coaching
right.
is you need to get into the kids in a way that they open up and then they say, okay, I trust this coach who is more like my mentor and I trust what he's saying. I'm going to try to implement what they're saying. Okay, I'm getting better. I can learn more and more and more. And that's in that atmosphere, that's when players grow. And so when parents, the best way to support your kid, I support my kid the same way. One plays golf, the other one plays tennis. I ask my son, hey, Beckham, what are you working on? And he's like, chipping and putting. I go, great. Are you working on mechanics? Were you talking to your coach? Yes. Are you getting better? Yes. Are you having fun? Do you want to do it again? Yes. Okay. Keep going with your coach. Keep asking him. Keep getting better at that. Right. And so I don't try to. So when my son doesn't perform well in a tournament and he shoots 92, right? I don't go to the coach and be like, hey man, what's going on here? Why isn't he doing that? Right. I understand that's a part of process. And I'm like, hey man, what are you working on? What you could have done better? Cool. Go talk to your coach. Have him work with you. I don't know golf. I don't know what you need to get better. And then he went through like 6 months of underperforming, right? And I just kept saying, he hit that wall, right? At 12, I'm like, keep going. And he just shot 78 the other day and got second place. And I'm like, that's the process. Now you're going to run into that wall again at some point. And you've already gone through that wall. That's how long it's going to take. So the best thing that I tell the parents is that to find a credible coach who it's a bonus to play on the next level that understands that played at the highest levels. It's a very good bonus. and then trust the process, because process is difficult. What I'm trying to teach your kids is not learned in a day, in a week. They're gonna have to be uncomfortable, and that's part of the process. But if they learn, if they go through the process, they will be able to apply all of that in their life when it gets difficult. So the thing for the parents is, listen, find a credible coach, let them do their job, let them coach, support your athlete, and to tell them the following: you having fun? You want to go back again? Okay, you got to be a tough cookie here. It's not going the way that you think it needs to go. But remember, you need to continue learning and continue working hard and continue trusting your training, and slowly but surely getting better. Because again, we have the same goal within those three people, and the player, coach, and the parent. We all want the player to get better. And one thing that I know is how to coach volleyball. I don't know how to coach tennis. I don't know how to coach golf. I don't know how to do baseball. I don't know how to do football. Fill in the blank.
You ain't sharing sheep, plucking chickens, milking cows. This is all we do, my man.
I tell my son, I'm like, I am a lot stronger than you. My ball is not going straight. I'm hitting it harder. My club speed moves a lot quicker, but yours is going straight. Mine's going to somebody's window.
Right. Slice. I did want to make an emphasis on the whole yelling thing, right?
Yes,
so
please.
Yelling is basically the conflicting forces of noise versus actual words, right? What's being said. And this is why I'll go to the UFC. Leon Edwards is fighting Kamaru Usman, right?
Yeah.
He just lost the first 4 rounds. The commentators are basically writing his obituary like, oh, okay, he's just in pride mode, right? But his coach went in there, and you can hear him. This is, you waited your whole life for this. Is this how you want to go out? Is this what you want to do? You've got to get in there. You got to let it fly, man. You got to let it fly, right? That's yelling, but it's words. Right? And this conversation can seep into motivational speeches versus the strategic, right? And there's a time and place. There's a time and place for all of those things, right? If I'm coaching Miles Partain and the score's 19 up, I'm gonna come up with a mathematical solution, right? If I'm coaching, I don't know, Taylor Crabb or whatever, I might just go, if you are what you say you are, superstar. That's right. So the reason why I brought it up is because people see coaches that yell, and because it brings them success, they think it will bring them success, and that is a huge fallacy, because again, yelling is the conflicting forces of noise versus words. And a United States Army drill sergeant makes a lot of noise, but there's a lot of words. And you know what happens at the end? I said this in a previous episode. You know what happens at the end of boot camp? The hair's cut. This dude's standing up straight. He's calling people sir and ma'am. He's holding chairs for old people. He is disciplined. He is respectful. He's the type of person you want your daughter to date, but not your son to fight. He is a lean, mean fighting machine. And I'm just, this is more of a rant and at the same time a warning. Don't do it if that's not you, my man. That's the drill instructor, years and years of honing this noise and words. It's a skill set. And most of us coaches frown against it because we know that that's more of a social or athletic Darwinism. And you're leaving so many talented people that could have promised behind because you chose a coach that way, right? You go to Eastern Europe, right? There's not a whole lot of positive reinforcement there, right? They're making them learn Latin and beating them half to death in a single-sex environment. And they do but they do produce results, and they do get the best players. But how many people are they leaving behind?
It's a product. So if you that mentality, you have to be mentally strong for that. And there is something in reaching deeper and getting the motivating the athlete, but at the same time, it's also how your culture is, right? So, for example, in Eastern Europe, everybody's very aggressive. Just humans are very aggressive. Like New Yorkers, they're aggressive. You ask them.
We're survivors, man. Yeah.
I remember this for the rest of my life. I was at LaGuardia, and I asked the guy, do you know what time it is? He gave me the meanest, the dirtiest look. You ask people in Texas, hey, hey, yeah, it is 10:52, and hey, where's a good barbecue? Hey, you go over there.
All right, wait. Let's stop there. Stop there for a sec. All right, you're Texas. I'm at an airport. You're gonna do the Texas guy. I'll do the New York guy, right? All right. Hey, pal. You know what time it is?
Yeah, it's 10:52. How you doing today? You having a great day?
Yeah, good. All right, so now you're the guy asking the New Yorker what time it is. Ask.
Hey, do you know what time it is?
Hey, why you can't afford your own freaking watch?
Exactly.
What do I look like, Big Ben to you? Get out of here! Yeah, your mother's a tramp. Did I ever tell you that?
100%. That's right. And so there is something to be said about being strict. But I think when the best collaborative environment between you and an athlete is not where you are above them and you know better, because then you get into coach versus athlete, and we've all been there.
100%.
Oh, coach doesn't like me, or hey, he thinks he's better than me, and all. You getting into combative state. The best environment to progress, to become better, is to become their ally, where they go to you and they ask you questions and they trust you, but you're also supporting them. You're telling them, hey, everybody runs into that wall. I've been into that wall many times. It's not on every team that I played. It's not every time I got a kill. I lost plentiful, I promise you. But here we are, right? That's just part of it. And so when the athlete feels that they are understood, right? Where you're not on the sideline screaming, why don't you dig that really hard, Isabella? Why don't you dig that down the line swing when you're pulling back as a setter off the 15-foot line, and then there's just a monster kill down the line that professional players aren't going. That's an unrealistic expectation. Okay. And the kids understand that. So once you've established, I understand the speed of the game. I understand where you should be able to dig or what you shouldn't be able to dig. What kind of serve you should be able to pass, or what. I had a libero, our libero Reagan. We were just in New Orleans a couple of weeks ago. She shanked the ball. She comes over. She's like, Coach Alex, I'm so sorry I shanked the ball. And I'm like, that was a really good serve. I'm pretty sure that I would probably shank that too. You're being too hard on yourself, kid. Go get him. Oh, eyes open. Wow, I've never heard this before. Next point, perfect pass. Next point, perfect pass. Next point, defense. You know what I mean? And so you have to empower the kids and give them the thought that yes, you can.
What club was it? What club were you talking about?
Volley Pro. So this is
Pro.
These are my kids. So Volley Pro is the club that I've started, and I've started it by my just for me, because in Dallas you have most of the best clubs, the Skylines, the TAVs,
the Frogs,
the Mad Frogs, the Excels, the One United, all of these. So it's very competitive. So a lot of coaches will go and coach somewhere. Right. I decided to take a different path, the harder path, because I want, even though I had offers from very many different places, but what I wanted to create is a culture of professionalism. How would I coach? Because I coach the way that, how would I coach myself, knowing what I know, been where I've been? If I'm a 12-year-old setter, what are the important things right now and long-term that we can develop? And that's the program that I'm developing.
That's good.
I'm not about
it's God's work, man.
If we're winning, like our 16s team is ranked in the top 20 in our region, which is fantastic. Most of these other teams are playing open, and we're a second-year club, right? But for me is for what I get an incredible satisfaction from is that our liberos are incredible passers and defenders, much better than when they started. Both of my outside hitters are just serving missiles, top spin, jump serve. I'm standing there and I'm like, that is impressive. Like,
What just went by.
right. I mean, you can hear the noise and it's just like, bam, bam, and you're like, you respect that, and then you have like I had one of my friends from Houston who owns a volleyball club over there who played professionally at a very high level in Italy, Champions League, really, really good player, 6'9", of course. And he stopped by, he's retired, he stopped by, it's like, wow, your kids are playing very professional level. A lot of coaches come up and even parents are like, wow, you're playing such a fun match. Like the other day we were playing in Sherman in Texas in the morning, we were playing one of the Skyline teams, and I can see people are around the court and they just love what's happening.
It's energetic.
Right. And I stopped myself and I'm seeing recruiters there and parents and the players just like being in the moment. And you're just like, wow, this is so beautiful. And these kids, where they started 4 months ago to now, they're more confident. They're a lot better players than they are. And they're just giving their best against the other team's best and let volleyball decide the win or the loss. And I love being in that environment where the kids are playing at 8 out of 10 consistently versus being 11 out of 10, 3 out of 10. I tell all my players 8 out of 10 consistently. That's where we want to be. And it's beautiful thing what the kids have been able to accomplish on all of our teams. At 16s, the team that I'm coaching with our assistant coach who just graduated from SMU, Natalie Purdue. I hope she'll stay with us.
Good for you. That'd be great.
Staying for a long time. Another player, because I want to bring players with experience that will be able to translate, and they know what's coming. And they've been there, so they know what's coming, and they can reverse engineer that.
She'll stay. She'll stay, and I'll tell you why. When you set up an environment that everybody wants to be a part of, like the level doesn't really matter, because there's something special where there's such a huge upside where everybody leaves better versions of themselves every week. Every coach, parent wants their kid to be a part of that. So what you've done, unwittingly or not, I would suggest the former, was set up an atmosphere and a structure where they're like, this is awesome, this is volleyball, and I went in. Parents are like, what can I do to help? Coaches are like, hey, how can I work this out where I can stay? So so God bless you for doing that, and we have a lot of similarities. I'm totally not going to use this time to make this about me. Just amazing similarities of what we have been doing in our career. Look, as a player, that's apples and oranges, man. I mean, I'm a baller, but you're an entire level above, even though I can compete. And even though I have, trained with teams that won nationals.
You would have, the difference is if you would have the right coaching growing up.
Yes.
It's
I bought a book, dude. I bought a book and coached myself. I bought a book written by the AVCA, American Volleyball Coaches Association handbook, written by Doug Beal and 2 other coaches. And I took a year and coached myself. And then people saw me and other coaches picked up and said, hey, do you want to play for us? Do you want to play for us? But it started where I was just this barrel-bodied super athletes, barrel-bodied, skinny, long arms, look like you could play every sport, like I could probably play tight end or play OT. I was like 260 when I was in high school. But as far as coaching and the challenge of like, just not necessarily doing more with less, but taking in this idea and where your strengths play to the needs. And like you said, what do you want your legacy to be? How do you want to lead the sport? You want to lead the sport with this? Do you want to lead the sport with that? You're answering all of those questions. You're checking all the boxes. Before we, sorry,
go ahead.
No, I said before we get to the third hour, I have what was the question? Kid comes up and asks you, kid parent interested in switching positions. What's the most difficult position to teach for 10s or 13s?
Uh, so
I
just in general, and
They
a
play
lot
every
of
position, right? Yeah.
just the hardest position to play, in my opinion, in volleyball is an outside hitter.
Yes. Because everyone
And the
thinks it's this
reason,
glorified position, but you get crap sets and sorry, no.
no, you have to. It's you have to be skilled at everything. So you're jack of all trades. You have to be a blocker. You have to be a passer. You have to be a defender. You have to be a setter. You have to be a server, and you have to do that at a long period of time. Like people sometimes say that the setter is the most difficult position or the middle. There are physical things that are associated with the middle, right? But I would bet almost anyone that if you'd ever play against some of these guys, so like one of the guys that I played with, Musersky, who is that Russian opposite that changed the game in the Olympics, right? If you would try to stand on the other side and try to receive his serve,
Good luck with that, dude.
you're being like, it's a 75-mile-an-hour back row attack from a service line, and it is coming straight to you. And it's the mo because you have to have so many skills. So for the young position, the hardest position is to definitely be a passer, because the passing is the most difficult part of the young game, and the teams that win are mostly can serve, right? So if you can serve, you're gonna win. If you can pass and serve, and it's easier to learn how to serve than it is to learn how to pass, you win. So the hardest position for the young kids from 10 to 13 are the outside hitters, because you have to pass.
Yeah, and I chose my description specifically to the answer. I used the term difficult, right? I didn't ask what's the most thankless position. I would just say that's middle, right? what's the most what's
Or
the most
libero, yeah,
what's
or
the
yeah,
most technical position?
yeah,
Setter, right? Right.
yeah,
My question was what's the most difficult position, and I thought
yeah.
that was just a great answer from, of course, obvious is obvious. All right, on that one. Let's explore reading material. No, sorry, go ahead.
Reading material, yes. So what you were saying
Mhm.
about Doug Beal. So and I'll actually quiz you. We'll see. You went to 84, 86. So for USSR, the coach was Gennady Vasilievich Parshin.
Right.
And so he was the nemesis of Doug Beal.
He really was.
On
Had his
They're
number. Had his
best
number for a
friends.
long time. Yeah.
They're best friends. And I had an absolute pleasure. And I was so lucky to have Coach Parshin to coach me my last 3 seasons in Kazakhstan. We won 3 championships in a row. And he is the best. He's very good friends with Doug Beal. He tells me all the stories. And I finally, actually, in Austin last year in January, I sent you a picture with Karch and with Pav. Last January, I had an incredible opportunity to talk to Coach Doug Beal. And I told him that I talk to Coach Parshin all the time. I actually call Coach Parshin maybe like once every couple of months to check up on him. He's in Latvia with his family. He's obviously very old at this point, but awesome person, incredible coach. And so you said that you got the book from and taught yourself how to play volleyball. That's the book that I'm writing. But I'm writing the book and I'm finishing up that book. It should be out in a couple of weeks, because again, my goal is to leave this game better than I found it. And this book, it has a specific, it's written for a volleyball parent and a volleyball player, but mostly for volleyball parent, because as parents, we are the ones who are staying up at night and trying to figure out what is the best place, how do we provide the best opportunity for our kids to succeed, whether it's the best school, whether it's the best coach, whether it's the best club. And so this book is about 100 pages, and it starts out with what the college coaches are looking for. So you're basically starting with the end result by position, super detailed, like middle blocker, you have to know how to use a split step and two-step footwork versus three-step footwork, how to close, how to hit a zero ball, what to do it. So very, very, very technical and specific, but in terms that you can understand, right? And you can pick it up. And that's what you see on the highest level of how the other teams are winning or scoring. And then it goes into age groups from 8 to 10, 10 to 12, 12 to 14, 14 to 16, 16 to 18, by positions. It's if it's applicable. So in 8 to 10, you're not really looking for positions. At 10 to 12, you're not really looking at positions. Then you start kind of looking, and and then it goes into older group where it goes position by position, what your kids should be able to do, and what are the skills that they need to have in order to give themselves the best chance to make the varsity and play in college. And then it breaks it down by age and position. It also talks about mental strength. It also talks about physical strength, how to develop the strength, and a diet. And it also provides advice on how to support your kid. And it also talks about what it feels like to play on the next level. So I describe how the game feels at the next level.
Right.
And it's basically you constantly feel like you're late. Like the game moves so fast that you feel like you're just getting beat. You're there, you can touch the ball, like you can kind of feel it, but it's already gone, right? And then it talks about how does it the schedule of a Division I athlete, and it talks about how the professional volleyball and skills, and how does it feel to play on that next level. Because I think that parents have the most opportunity to make those decisions, and an educated parent moves very differently than an uneducated volleyball parent.
Okay.
And when you consider that most volleyball parents didn't play the game of volleyball, having this book will help them to understand and shape their journey with the end result of, hey, my daughter wants to play in high school, or hey, my daughter wants to play at a university. And it really breaks it down in a way that parents can understand, because they're the ones who are making most of the decisions. Yes, it's cool to play with your friends, but an educated parent moves very differently than an uneducated one. Because if you're uneducated, you're guessing.
Yeah.
And you can be guessing for 5 years versus you can be very concentrated in those 5 years, and you can accomplish so much. And so that's what the book is for. And I'm almost done. I'm on the editing part where I just put the chapters in order, and I'm super excited to educate and provide the knowledge that I have to the parents, so they can educate themselves on what really counts and what really matters, and then get after executing that. Because when you can accomplish a lot more when you know where you're going.
100%. Yeah. Yeah. Some about the Soviet Union guys, right? Like like my mentor, Mario Trebich, was the assistant.
Yeah, my dad knows him very well. Yep.
Yeah. He was the assistant for the USSR in '88. And then he took over the Netherlands. They won a silver and Barcelona. And I ended up, and again, three degrees of separation. I ended up coaching his son, Alex, at Hunter High School in New York City. So it's,
Is it really named Alex, or was it like Oleksiy, like mine?
It was, yeah. No, it's actually Alex, and he was specific about that.
Yeah, so
but he had another kid that went to Bronx Science that looks like a clone, and I think that he had that name, Oleksiy.
Like both of the Moni, both of those guys are clan of their father. And so
yeah, in fact, I was on a podcast and they surprised me, because they asked me about me mentoring, and the mentors, people that mentored me, and passing the torch. And Ruth Nelson says, I got a surprise for you. And
I see Ruth all the time.
Yeah. And this is what she does.
I understood.
That's Mario.
Coming into certain drills with a focus, or as your girls at St. John's would call focus, right? They really enjoyed mimicking you, but we know it was
That's freaking Mario, dude.
So I learned presenting players their options.
Still sharp as a tack. 86 years old, right? still.
I know Ruth. I run into Ruth all the time.
Isn't she amazing?
We practice at the same gym at different times, so we run into each other all the time.
BYOP, baby.
Yes, our conversations are incredible. She's doing God's work for young kids and their families.
Speaking of God's work, right?
She's educated both. She's educating the kids and the parents. And so all of her kids that go through her program, I've been trying to tell her, Ruth, come coach for me. Ruth, come coach for me, please.
Yeah.
And hopefully she'll hear me and say yes one of these days.
I think at some point, I think she's working within her own bandwidth, and then if that bandwidth is convenient, right, she'll make that happen.
Great. Love talking to Ruth all the time about volleyball. I mean, like I said, I love volleyball. So when I meet people that love volleyball too, which are either, which are people that are coaching or played professionally before, or even the parents and the players, they also love volleyball, because at the end of the day, these kids are playing volleyball because it's fun. I was sitting at a tournament the other, last year, and if you don't watch the ball, this is a cool part where I don't know if many volleyball players have done that, but when you're watching the match and you're there, if most of us watch like tennis, right? We watch the ball, but if you just watch one side of the action without looking at the ball, and you see all that movement, all that energy, it is incredible. The sport is so beautiful. I never looked at it that way, and I just had an opportunity always just to pause and just to see this movement, how energetic it is, and how much fun. There's movement here, there's movement there. Wow, this girl is diving and sprawling out and getting that ball, and then 3 more teammates are running, and then we're hitting over. And it's just such a beautiful game that I'm absolutely super fortunate and super thankful to my parents for them to be able to bring me up and give me all the genes that I need, minimum necessary. But thanks, Dad. Thanks, Mom. You did a great job. So I love the sport of volleyball.
I'm actually gonna go use the bathroom and come back, but while I'm using the bathroom, I wanted you to tell the audience about a book that's not related to volleyball that should be kind of maybe not required reading, but like, kids, this is a must read for you guys. Like, for example, Chop Wood, Carry Water. That's the Ola Marymount. Yeah. That's required reading. That's about like embracing the process. Instead of being consumed by the labor, be the labor, be a part of it, make it your DNA. So yeah, 60 seconds. I'm going to give you camera one and tell the audience just a couple of books or whatever. Use that time for me.
All right. So I think that for as far as the book goes, there's been very many good books that have been written in the motivation space and going through the challenge and the journey and tribulations that professional athletes go through. But it's not just professional athletes. We all go through battles. We all have our things that challenge us. Whether it's an athlete that's dealing with an injury, or a kid not making the team, or fill in the blank. We all go through difficult times. And the important part is to understand that we're not the only people that are going through those difficulties, and there have been people before us. And when you start studying great athletes or a great performance, you will see that they figured out a way to not give up, right? So the way of, how do I find that next win? How do I go into every day knowing that it's going to be difficult, but something good is going to come out of this? And I think once you embrace that kind of take on things that many deem negatives, because we know in retrospect, when we think something doesn't work out our way, and then you look at it long term, and you're like, man, I'm so glad that's exactly what happened, because if it would have happened, knowing what I know now, man, that was probably not the best thing in the world that would have happened. So as far as books, I would recommend looking and reading life stories of people to learn of great achievements, because behind every great achievement is a person who is taking a lot of losses on the way, and they just found a way to keep going. Didn't get the job, didn't get to school, didn't get the opportunity to be successful by normal standards. Every high achiever, if you really, really look into their past, you will see that those are the people that embraced the process, figured out how to not to give up, and stuck with something's good's gonna come out of this. And I've caught myself thinking this, oh man, this is a difficult situation, whatever it is. And I'm like, you know what? Something good is gonna come out of it. It's difficult. Something good's gonna come out. I'm gonna learn something from this, and I'm gonna be better next time.
Good. What was the book's name?
I actually didn't give the book because I just said to read any.
Got you. Yeah.
Audible. And,
well, while you're looking, there's some really good books. There's some really good books that came out regarding volleyball. The Winning Element by Deanna Schneier. She's actually a big time referee, but she cut her teeth playing in college in Texas. Wow. She's an indoor ref, very popular indoor outdoor ref, young, part of the new young generation of good referees like Troy Gravitt, Renee Marcella's big shout out. She wrote 2 books. One's a how to, and one's like a guide or like a storyline guide. Wendy Jones always writes some good stuff. She's a positive reinforcement person. Jason Olive gave me a book called The Captain's Class, and I just started reading that. And mind you, I'm not even gonna pretend I'm like I love to read. I can't stand reading.
Difficult. Yeah.
I don't even like to read. So if I'm recommending these books, they're really, really good, right? And again, these are just books that inspire athletes and this and that. I mean, I got other stuff I like to read. I like Whitney Webb just wrote 2 volumes of a book called One Nation Under Blackmail. It's like a one-stop shop for Jeffrey E. We'll just call him that for YouTube purposes. The guy that was doing PDF files, YouTube purposes, right? We changed the name. So a one-stop shop all the way back from the 60s to the present. For Maxwell and like some of these people. It's called One Nation Under Blackmail.
In our current society, one of the guys that I follow on positivity and listen to is Gary Vaynerchuk, and some people love him. He has perspective, right? So perspective meaning that things that we complain about nowadays, we think that it's tough. People in the 40s had it a lot harder, right? People in the 60s had it a lot harder. And so as we're evolving, one of the best ways to learn and to persevere is to have perspective and understand that you're not the first person who's dealing with that. And once you figure out, like, if you think you're the first person who is anxious when you're receiving when the whistle blows, all of a sudden there's 3,000 people in the audience, and you can hear a pin drop, and there's an ESPN camera right behind you, and here you have to serve a topspin jump serve, and you can't, and everybody's like, okay, it's you're up. If you think you're the only person who has experienced that anxiety, or join the crew, there's so many. And once you understand that so many have gone through this, and that there are skills, and that's what they are. There are mental skills to how to break through, how to continue fighting against that wall. And that once you understand it's not just you, the spotlight effect, you think that's just happening to you, and everybody's looking at you, and that nobody, most people don't think about us as much as we think they think about us.
Right.
And so once you realize,
I guess
you
it's
take
about
a
getting
deep
over
breath.
ourselves, right?
Right. Once you take a deep breath and you're like, okay, I will figure this out. I'm not the first person who was nervous at the beginning of the match, right? Like, I'm not the first person who missed the serve at 14-14. And so, instead of getting stuck on that, you got to get into a positive and solution-oriented mindset, because it's okay to sulk on it for something that has happened that you're super unhappy about. Like, give yourself 5 minutes, go all
There you
out,
go.
nobody's watching, and then boom, pick yourself up. You're back at it. Something good's gonna come out of this.
Hmm. I really, really like that. What about favorite sports movies? Movies that kind of get you pumped up. For
Oof.
example, like I can go Remember the Titans, right? And maybe that's not my favorite one, but like when you're a prisoner of the moment, like the first one you could think about, that was the first one I could think about. So I go Remember the Titans. What about you?
So for me, I really like any sport movie, because it talks about the underdog, right? So you can connect. So even Happy Gilmore,
Yeah.
right? Like, any sort of sport movie is based on or what is the football movie where there's a lot of them.
Oh,
A
football
lot,
movies are great.
a lot of football movies where it's basically they highlight the underdog,
Yeah.
the difficulty, the Rockies,
Like,
all of these
yeah,
guys.
Gridiron Gang could be like that.
Right. They get knocked down,
Yeah.
and then they get beaten down. They get beaten down where majority of the people would give up. This person rises up, and
Right.
what you have to understand is we're all are very similar. It's not like, unless you're Usain Bolt and you can run, sub 9 or sub
Jeez.
10 100-meter dash. Uh, Other things, we're all very similar, right? Like, we all have same relatively same opportunities, and the difference between people that make it really far and people that don't make it, because on all the levels, the higher you go, the more you get exposed, so the better you have to be. And secondly, the pool level just gets cleaned out by 99%, right? So
Right.
if you go from middle school to high school, all of a sudden that pool of players gets a lot smaller. When you go to high school to D1, that pool that dwindles down. When you go D1 to pro and say,
Evaporates. Yeah.
right, I'm fortunate enough to have played 10 seasons professionally, and that's a mark where I feel like it's not a quick, it's not a 2 or 3 year. Like, I went through the grind, right? And so these movies, they highlight the human capacity to continue moving through the difficult times, and that's just beautiful. And that happens even when I coach our 16s or our 14s or our 13-year-olds, where I can see they're winning their miniature movie, where they've struggled with this serve for 3 months and they were beaten down, they couldn't get it. You believe in them and you keep motivating them, and all of a sudden they get that serve in, and you're like, you just want your miniature movie.
There it
Let's win
is.
another one.
Yeah.
Let's win another one. Continue pushing. And that's the beautiful part about sports, is that it's difficult. The other team wants to win as well. The margins where you're playing, usually the team that you're playing is very similar. And then you win some, you lose some. And that's the beauty of sport and
Amen.
the beauty
Yeah.
of volleyball, because it gives you instant feedback on how you're doing. And I love that quote that you said, that the very first time you fail is probably playing sports,
Yeah.
which is, for our case, playing volleyball.
Most likely. Yeah.
Incredible. That's an incredible quote.
Yeah.
I'm going to keep that one. Thank you.
Guys, we're also going to talk. I'll tag Miracle about the U.S. hockey team, like major
Yes.
upsets, and you know what I'm saying. That's a great underdog story.
Or
And
what
I think
about they should make a movie about 2008 USA
right?
men, right?
I like.
Right?
Let me tell you something. I would
Men
love to.
volleyball. That was a big tragedy.
Mhm.
that turned into something beautiful.
If they had if they did like a documentary and had like commentators who were in it as well as commentators out, and then I volunteer myself because I know that every game, like that was a complete team. That was a team beating talent. Okay, that was complete teams beating talent. Like, and it
was a team. It was not a bunch of fantastic individuals. It was a team. They played for each other. Yeah.
But the cool thing about it, every single starter, if they weren't on that team, they wouldn't have won the gold. Like I remember Reed Pretty in pool play. I remember Reed Pretty stepping up against the Italians, just kind of like hitting anything. Okay, a set, ball kept in play. I'm just gonna hit it on two. Came to me. He was just ridiculous, right?
Yeah.
I remember Riley Salmon against Serbia Montenegro. Just these long rallies and these two, they left him just enough line and he hit it twice. And then on a go ball match point off the one ball, they bit with David Lee. I remember the semifinals of David Lee coming up with a kill and then a block to put him up, and then another kill, and then a block for a match point, finishing game 5. I remember Clay Stanley delivering the best performance of his volleyball life in the gold medal match against the Brazilians. And now we both acknowledge it's a collective effort. Like great systems beat great talent, or great teams beat great talent. Great coaching, by the way, Hugh McCutcheon, Spara. But I really like that team because we both know every single player mattered. Russia in the semifinals had match point in game 4, and they served the ball massively hard at position 1. Rich Lamborn kind of goes horizontal on a one arm. A one arm in system.
His one arm is everybody else's 2 arms.
Right, but it was a one arm in system serve receive that saved the match. He doesn't do that, or if he sticks his arm out and the ball does other things, that's it.
Half an angle or a half an inch anywhere else.
Yep.
It's an ace.
That's it. Ace. That's a wrap, and that's it. USA's out. They're playing for the bronze again. You know what I'm saying? Against whomever. We don't know. We don't care.
What about what Penn State did last year? Where they embraced and they played for the coach. They were united by this. They weren't the most talented. They weren't but everybody was cheering for them, and that what happened with the coaches getting she was diagnosed with cancer, and that united a team at a whole different level. They were playing for purpose, right? They were playing for much bigger than themselves, and so many volleyball players, so many athletes, they think that they are the biggest thing that's currently happening to them and to the world. And so when you start that you are the star, right? I mean, yes, you are the star of your life. You've probably achieved more than many of your friends, even your parents you achieved. But at the highest level, you have to have that. It's a purpose driven. It's bigger than me. I got to sacrifice myself in order and my ego in order to become a better teammate. And that's what they did. Penn State won a national championship a year ago, and that was beautiful because they were united by a mission and not by individual players. So I love that. That should be a movie as well.
Oh man, that should definitely be a movie. And yeah, and you knew look. It's not like they weren't talented. You knew they could, but you knew a lot of things had to come into play to make that to happen. And then, like you said, as a common denominator, the one thing that gives them just enough to win. We need something unspoken, unsaid that gives us enough to win. And like you said, the motivation behind the coach, that was it. Yeah. That was a motivating factor, right? Like, and for the 2008 team, we knew they could win because I remember the Worlds, 3 weeks before the Olympics, the USA did beat Brazil, but it was more about styles making matchups. Like the USA,
even against the most talented Brazil teams, they were going to take a set because styles make matchups, and it was a stylistically good matchup for the USA. Oh, you know who wasn't? Russia. You know who wasn't a good matchup for us? Serbia, Montenegro. These are just the teams that owned us off the 3-man block. Whenever we were out of system, they had a 3-man block, and that was our behind. That was your behind right there because there were no holes. They're like, oh, just funnel. It was like literally a wall, right? Like,
and sometimes players catch fire, and it's just unstoppable. I've been in that zone several times.
Yeah,
like Reed. Yeah,
you're literally just swinging as hard as you can, and the arm feels great, and doesn't matter what's happening on the other side. You're just scoring. And funny thing about Serbians, I swear. They make the most volleyball players. Every team has at least 3 brates. Brate! 3 at least everywhere.
Yeah.
I don't know. I've had on every team. There's always a Serbian that's playing.
Right. So, Riley Salmon said that too. Riley.
Every team has a brate.
I actually had Riley on the podcast too, and he was walking me through the Serbia-Montenegro match.
We played a beach volleyball.
I saw the BVB. I think you played Zimmerman and whatever, and I went to 3. You beat him 2-0. Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, that was some.
But
that was some fun part.
Yeah. So, I don't know. Any favorite comedian? I always like to ask that random question. I like Chappelle.
I like the English guy who laughs inside. What is this? The Kurd? No. What is his name?
Oh man,
he's super famous. He has this laugh. He's not laughing in, but he's like, like laughing.
Oh,
like
that guy. Yeah. I know. Yeah, I used to. I do, but the name is like you. The name escapes me, but I know because of the laugh.
Yeah. He is. I think he's fantastic. I actually also listened to a couple of podcasts that he's been on, and he's talking about perspective and enjoying the life, embracing the failure. One of his quotes is that everybody wants what successful people have. Nobody wants to do the work that it requires to get there.
Yeah.
And so he's super funny, but he's also like down to earth person and has some great perspective on life. What about you?
I like, as far as stand-up comedy, I like Chappelle. I grew up watching the Benny Hill show. I'm a bit of a perv, so I've always watched that. There's a musical comedian, a piano comedian named Victor Borge. They call him the Great Dane. He's from Copenhagen. And the first record I ever got was his 1954 performance in Boston. And just him playing the songs on the piano and kind of like telling jokes associated with people. I just thought it's dry, but it's really, really witty. And it really is for kids of all ages. It's just that form of comedy, you can appreciate. I like Chris Rock in his prime, because Chris Rock would say things that I can relate to. I'm a kid from Brooklyn, and a lot of the things like if you hear a Jay-Z song, like I remember Jay-Z said, let's talk about girls. The first chance they crack the bank, they'll try, but all I get is 50-cent francs and papayas, right? Like if you're a New Yorker, there's a place called Gray's Papaya. And like anyone who's out late, that place is open 2 or 3 in the morning, and you're still hungry after dancing or singing or whatever. And it's 50-cent francs and papayas. So there are these relatable references that I connect to with artists, and I guess comedy is no different. So that's
for sure.
Yeah,
for sure.
Do you Lord of the Rings or Harry Potter?
Lord of the Rings, for sure.
Nice. Bourbon, vodka, or tequila?
Vodka.
Of course, Mom. Let's go. Come on. What kind of question is that?
So the reason why, Russians or Eastern Europeans are known for being able to drink a lot, and I actually wasn't those guys. My parents actually developed a very good healthy healthy relationship with, because it's important, as kids grow up, like, you want, obviously you're gonna have wine at some point, so but you just don't want kids to go crazy on
Right.
the alcohol and stuff.
Of
And
course.
so the reason why one of the reasons why Eastern Europeans can drink a lot, and specifically hard liquor, is because when you're actually in the culture, you're sitting down and you have a lot of food, right? You have potatoes, you have meat, you have salad.
Katochkas.
Yes, kartoshka, exactly. Жареная kartoshka is better, but it's a fried potato. So for
Right.
those that don't know Russian, but basically you're eating it, and it's part of the culture that embraces that. They're just part of it, and so definitely I don't drink. Like last time I had a drink was probably about 2 months ago. I had a glass of wine, and before that it's probably another 6 months. No, I had a beer about 3 weeks ago, and before that it was like 6 months
Right.
ago, grabbing a glass of wine. So
Yeah, and it's your environment, right?
yeah, I'm not a big. I'd rather wake up in the morning and feel great and get with my day, because I gotta drop off the kids, and then I
Right.
gotta do this and this and pro spike flow and all of this, and finish up the book and start working on
Yep.
that club teams for next season, and who do I recruit as a coach?
Yeah. It's like who has time for a drink? All right.
No, I don't have time for the drink.
But it is
I'm
your
a
it is your
athlete getting
environment.
out.
No, but it is your environment, Oleksiy, in the sense that, like, I grew up a vodka guy, right? But Kelly, right, my significant other, when she drinks, it's a happy hour thing. We get some meat, we get some cheese, some crackers, and her favorite wine. So her favorite wine became my favorite wine, and I was never like a wine guy until I met her, But we met in 2011, so however that math works out, that's 15 years of just occasional happy hour, slow your heart rate down a little bit, chill, watch, read a book of your favorite author, watch a movie. So Kelly got me into the wine, and
a glass of cab once in a while is okay. Obviously there's some really good wines, and you can spend as much as you want on the
no
wine.
doubt.
And
Yeah.
so there's some really, really good. But I'm just I'm not a big drinker. Like I don't, like I said, maybe 2 or 3 times a year, maybe that's it. Because I have a goal, and I have things to achieve, and I take those seriously, because I want to be there for my kids, and inspire my own kids, and inspire the kids that I coach, and be a role model, because as you get older, you'll realize that the health is your number one asset.
Yeah.
As they say, a healthy person wants a million things, and a sick person only wants one, right? And so I eat clean, I exercise, I look into, I use food as medicine.
There you go.
I still have a cookie or organic pizza here and there, right? But
no, but but your food for prescriptions for ailments is really the way to go, right?
100%. It's all available to us, and if you eat well, if you sleep well, super important sleep. It's so, like, I have a whoop that I've had for like 3 or 5 years or something like that. I measure every day. I already know if I eat past 9 o'clock, then I'm not going to have as good a recovery if I stop at 7. I do intermittent fasting. I stop eating most of the time when I can, right at 7 o'clock, and then I just wake up and I'm ready to go. But I also take naps.
Naps are great. Are you kidding? I'm 55, dude. I love me some naps when I was 35. So, I would do that.
I love it too. It's about, sometimes it's 30 minutes, sometimes it's an hour and a half to get the full REM and deep sleep. So it's really, once you get into like the recovery phase of thing, you understand that to be sharp, to be able to perform, to be able to make decisions, good decisions, to be able to lead, the club and lead the kids and be the role model and warm up and bounce the ball and on the 1 foot line. I actually have a video of on Instagram where I was hitting on the girls' net. Okay, everybody, it's all right. I was hitting on the girls' net,
It's fine.
but I hit the ball. So it was in zone 2, and it was a back 2 ball. So a setter sent me basically on the net, and I hit the midline of the court. So I hit from the other without hitting the net. I hit the ball in that direction, and it hit the middle of the line. And so I was super happy about
good
it.
luck
Good
luck digging that.
Girls' net. I'm like, try doing that on any net.
Good luck doing that. Do you nap before practice? Is that how it works?
Say what?
Do you take a nap before practice? Is that
Yeah.
That's your protocol?
So I'll wake up and I go for about 4 to 5 hours, right, of just getting things done. And then I take a nap, and it's almost like you have 2 days in one. You know what I mean?
Right.
You wake up, you're refreshed, and you can continue doing whatever it is that you need to do. And I coach, obviously, our schedule currently, I coach Monday, Wednesday, and we have tournaments on the weekend. So I'm busy doing those times. But an hour and a half nap is a lifesaver, because you wake up and you're like all fresh versus, sometimes I have to push through and those kind of things, and that's okay. But that element stuck with me by playing professional volleyball, because professional volleyball, you wake up, you go strength train, or you have a morning practice, then you eat lunch, then you have your nap, and then you wake up and you go to your evening practice or your evening match. So sleep is so important for every athlete, and I don't think we get enough. Our kids, I know my kids, it's a necessity. We're super strict about that. In high school, they don't get enough sleep, and they need more sleep and proper nutrition, because we all know the difference between a French fry and mashed potatoes, right? And so that's what I'm also trying to push on really hard is the recovery side, strength training side, and those things that professionals do that makes them rise up to a whole another level. Because if you eat like crap, your body's going to be, and yes, you can burn through it, but if you're eating like crap, you're just not going to perform. Your body's going to feel crappy sooner or later, and guess what? You're going to get hurt sooner or later. And then you're like, wait, now I'm
How did
hurt.
this happen? Yeah.
Now I'm not playing, and everybody's having fun. And you're like, yeah, because look at what you did before. Like there's such a low hanging fruit with strength training. So I'm super excited about, just giving volleyball what making volleyball better as much as I can, and leaving the game better, educating parents, educating kids, giving them strength training tools, how to hit harder and cleaner, and also being able to in the weeds of things, right? Like I am coaching, I am making these kids better, and it's a beautiful process. To now that I'm on the other side of playing, it's a beautiful process to help the kids to go through their battles, to get through their journey, figure out that skill of getting through that difficult part and surfacing on the other side and going, that was a lot of work. Thank you, coach. You're like, that's what coaches should be doing for you.
Amen. Last question. Favorite sport outside of volleyball? Are you a golf guy, or for me, I'm speaking in terms of spectating or participation. So for me, so for me, I'm a American football guy. For me, I like UFC. I like mixed martial arts. That's UFC or Bellator or PFL. I'm good with that.
So I spent so much time. Even now, like I watch so much volleyball. Like I'll come from a tournament and from a coaching tournament or playing a tournament, right? And I'll take I take a bath with some salts in them and that kind of stuff to recover. And my wife would go, Alex, stop watching volleyball. And I'm like, how do you know? And she's like, I can hear the freaking whistles, right? Because we don't hear the whistles.
Right.
But
no, we don't.
But those whistles are loud. So I watch a lot of volleyball. But other sports that I'm a fan of are the two sports that my kids are playing, which is golf and tennis. I played tennis growing up, so I like tennis. Professionally, I enjoy. listen, I enjoy every sport because there's a beauty in every sport. When you watch basketball, it's incredible how high they're able to jump, and with the three defenders shoot, half court shot and go in. I love watching football when they're knocking into each other and it's so physical. I love watching rugby. I love watching table tennis. Like every sport, there's a beauty within the sport because it's humans pushing the limits of human abilities. Even professional curling, it is so difficult. Even the sports that don't look hard on the surface, at the highest level, it is so hard to be a professional athlete in any sport. Mixed martial arts, yeah, you're like, oh, those guys are just punching.
Yeah, but
Right,
yeah, you wish. Yeah, come on.
right. Oh, I
No,
got this guy. My right hook is so. I'm like,
no.
okay.
Let me tell you something. I see two guys up against the cage, and to the novice person, it looks like they're not doing anything. But I'm looking to see if he's trying to get one under the between the legs for like like a single, or from a power double to a single. I'm watching like it's a game of chess. Two guys against the cage are playing chess, and like the international fans, like the Japanese, are really good with MMA. Like if someone gets taken down, and the person finds a way to get back up, the crowd gets up, claps, and then sits back down like in unison. And I'm like, okay, educated crowd.
Definitely,
Yeah, I
definitely.
appreciate that.
Every sport, but I'm the biggest fan. So I have two athletes that I'm the biggest fan of. My son, my daughter.
All right.
That's it. That's
That's
it. I watch them. I watch them struggle, but I also help them in a mental aspect. I help them. I help them get. I help them help push through that wall. And I'm a fan of all the girls that I coach on the on the volleyball side of things. The professional kids that I coach, I actually have one of them. I actually helped one. We were just talking to an agent for this player to go overseas, and how does that, and a mentor, what's the best place to go to, what's a good starter league, what you should be expecting, and just mentoring. But at the end of the day, two of my favorite athletes is definitely my son and my daughter, who are playing, Beckham and Ivy. And Beckham plays golf, and he shot 78 his last tournament. He was so happy, and I was like, we just went to a really good school where he spent 6 months grinding. First day after we got there, he got in the car. He was crying. He was like, Dad, I don't belong there. I go, you'll go back there tomorrow.
Yeah.
And so he wiped his tear, and then he got back into it, and then he persevered and persevered. And so I'm watching this athletic movie unfold right in front of my eyes. And I love what I do because I'm able to actually also coach my kids through, not in their sport, but coach my kids through those obstacles to follow through. So those are the two athletes that I'm biggest fan of, and I love watching them suffer and continue pushing through.
Yeah. Well, I got a 9 that plays basketball and tennis as well. 9-year-old, tall.
A boy and a girl.
A girl. She's huge. She's a California kid. She's white hair, looks like a Targaryen from Game of Thrones. Like one of those. And pretty sure she has 3 dragons, right? But she's liking basketball, loving tennis. Of course, you got to do an hour of volleyball, because what's going to happen is she's going to see dad travel around, and then it's not a if she changes her mind, it's a matter of when. So when she does, I don't have to teach her how. She can come into a club system already just knowing how, knowing where to play.
And you're an educated parent,
Yeah,
because you've been through the journey, so you're not going to be guessing.
Yep.
You already know the challenges, what the journey involves.
Yep.
And you're going to be straight up with your kid and honest and supportive, and that's what's going to make her journey so much more rewarding,
right.
because you're not guessing. You're literally, I'm like,
it's also about knowing your kid too. Like for my kid, if I ever want my kid to never play volleyball, is to make her do it. Is to say she ain't playing any other sport, she's playing volleyball. So that's my kid. Then you got Charlie Furbringer. I like Matt's kid. She grew up. She's about that life. Like I've seen her I've seen her AAU's 14s playing at 11 years old. I'm like finishing in a semifinals or finals for 14s. So it's about knowing your kids.
It's the easy thing to do. When infrastructure is there, it's because that challenge. A lot of people ask me, will my kids play, or are they, why don't you teach them how to play volleyball?
Yeah.
And I believe, and this may sound a little controversial, but I believe that every player, as long as they're physically capable, right? Like you have to have a certain speed, you have to have minimum necessary, but very many kids can play professional sports. May not be on the highest level,
right?
But a college sport, being on a college team, I think is very achievable. So achievable for very many athletes. The reason why some get it and some don't, obviously part of it is physical abilities and that kind of stuff, but also finding a sport that your kid is capable of doing. So every athlete, like if you have inherited speed, right, track and field or football, right? If you are very smart and you are persistent and you're okay with working hard just by yourself in and out all the time, just you, maybe swimming is a good opportunity, right? So you gotta
she
find
does that too, yeah.
your characteristic of your kid, but also match it with the sport. And then one of the biggest cheat codes that I heard is that if you want your kid, because most of the kids start playing sports because their friends play that sport. So if you want your kid to be like a volleyball player, find some friends that they can play volleyball with or soccer with, and then that's how you find the sport. And then if your kid really wants to achieve at a high level and they're capable and they're willing to suffer through and go through that journey and get through that wall, college sports is, in my opinion, maybe I was just super gifted. Thanks, mom. Thanks, dad. Thanks the environment that I just got super lucky in. But I think, I mean, there's a kid that I coached, Diego. He's graduating FDU right now. 5'9", maybe, Hispanic, unathletic kid. You look at his senior, at his team, his senior year. Some of the boys were like 6'5", 6'8", 6'3", 6'2", and here's this, Hispanic unathletic kid, and he's like, Coach Alex, I want to play Division I volleyball, and I'm like, okay, that's great. Okay, well, I will tell you this. Think about it over the weekend, because you're gonna have to forget a whole lot of things that you have learned thus far. You're gonna have to go all in. You have to practice with me twice a week. I'll be there for you minimum twice a week. We have to watch all these short setters. We have to do so much work. It's going to take a year minimum. If you're up for it, I'll be there for you. But we can't have it willy-nilly once a month kind of a thing. So I'll let you have a weekend. Think about it.
Yeah.
Come back to me. I'm ready. Mom is a teacher and dad is a car mechanic. Both of them are, I think, maybe 4 feet tall. Or maybe 5 feet tall. I don't know where he got his height at 5'8", 5. And again, that height is very tiny, right? And not super athletic. He ended up going to FDU, becoming a team captain his second year, graduated in 3 years, and now finishing up his marketing degree in masters.
At FDU?
FDU, yes.
That's
university.
That's Carl Franz.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And Carl knew him through he was like, oh, Coach Oleksiy Gutor coached you. I know that guy. I watched him at Penn State. And so I think that's one of the not the main reason, but one of the reasons that Diego was able to, and ask him about Diego, he'll tell you the hardest working kid I've ever seen. So if we can take this kid that's unathletic, not very skilled, his junior year and get him to a Division I volleyball team. Yeah, he didn't play. He wasn't like a big time starter and all American, that kind of stuff. But what he was able to accomplish is incredible, right? On that sports scene. And so I am super
excited,
super
yeah.
positive on him, and also on all the kids thinking that they don't have what it takes. Yes, you do. You do have what it takes. It's going to take a lot of work, and if you're willing to put that work in, you're going to get the result. It may not be Texas. It may be a Division II school, but all you need is an opportunity, and you have to work really hard to getting those positional skills. That's what it comes down to. It should be unemotional. You should be emotional about how hard you're working every day. And if you put together a year worth of hard work, dude, you're going to come out on the other side a completely different play, a completely different person, and you're going to achieve that result on any level.
Yeah. Well, hey, before we head out, big shout out to Carl Franz. I got to witness his ascension from coaching smaller schools all the way up to FDU. In 2001, 2000, and 2002, he was coaching Mount St. Vincent, small D3 school on the East Coast. And then he was Jose's assistant at NYU. And just to watch him do the right things, make mistakes, do good things, and lead exactly to where he is now. I think right now, the only African-American Division I men's coach, or maybe Cal Northridge. That guy is mixed. Greg Fulton is the assistant.
Great work.
Yeah.
We have to understand that no one knows everything, and everyone fails.
Right.
We all think we see these people and we think that they are perfect. No. Nice. Everybody fails. Everybody goes through struggles. You ask any athlete that has ever achieved, or a coach that has ever achieved, there's a lot of failure back there. And it took one. It could have taken one little moment, one little thing that if they wouldn't have overcome, they would go in a completely different way. And we know so many kids that were so talented and they end up not achieving. I think that by far the worst thing is underachieving, not reaching your full talent, not, just kind of saying, oh, I wish I would have, or if I would have done this, that would have been that. No, that's probably the thing that I see the most in current juniors, is that they're underachieving. They're not reaching their full potential. And that just hurts, because if you knew you had that 93 mile an hour fastball, and with the movement, and then at a Division I level, build it up to 97 and play in MLB. And if you know that you didn't achieve that, that's called regret, and that's the last thing that you want. So you got to get out there. You got to work really hard. You got to understand. You ask any high-level athlete, you're failing. You're failing a lot more than you're winning. You're working. The failure is winning. The more you're capable of handling that, you're going to surface on the other side a much, much, much better player. And everybody's going through that journey. You're not the only one. Become a tough cookie and get after it.
I really like that, landing with that. It's a combination of encouragement and saying toughen up, right? Before we end the podcast, I'll end with this quote. There's no shame in trying and failing, but there's no honor in not trying at all. Yeah. So Insta handle.
It does work out.
Yeah.
What if it does work out, right? Like, we're always thinking about negative. What if it does work out?
I like that. It's like, what happens if you don't try at all? Nothing. You know what happens if you try? You might not fail.
You might get it. So why don't you go all in?
Let's get your Insta handle or website. People want to know what you're up to or what's next for you.
So coachgutor.com is my website that I just I started working on my brand and what we stand for. Our Ammunition Collective is a fantastic partner for that. They're doing a great job for me and just developing that brand and that positivity, and that, hey, you got what it takes. You do. Everyone's got what it takes. We can all win. We just have to concentrate, work hard, and work towards the right goals the right way.
I like it.
My Facebook is Oleksiy Gutor. That's where I post. I post in Volleyball Moms, Volleyball Dads, North Texas.
That's why I read all your stuff. Yep.
I like to answer to the parents that are looking for answers, because it's always, it's very similar, and so that's why I'm also getting the book out so that parents can read, and it's going to answer all majority of their questions. On Instagram, I'm at Gutor Vball right now, and my club's handle is Volley Pro. And then on TikTok, I'm not so big on TikTok, but also Gutor Vball. And then on YouTube, I'm gonna start putting more and more videos of how to strength train properly. I actually have a video of how to strength train for volleyball players. I also have walkthroughs for pro spike flow, and that's where people can find me and follow my journey. So I really appreciate today. I think that we shared a lot of volleyball, and I think we need to do that again, maybe with another person, so we can have a volleyball
mini panel. Yeah, a little mini
That's
panel.
right.
Now,
That's right. That's right.
no,
Absolutely.
we're definitely going to make that happen this summer. I mean, we definitely got some. We could do an all Texas one with Leon Blazer and God knows who else. But Ashley Clark, my friend Ashley Clark, just moved there from California, from SCVC, because of human design, her thing. But guys, that's it for us. First of all, for all of the people that actually stayed with us live the whole way. Wow. God bless you guys. I was thinking maybe you guys would catch some of this later, but we have some people that stayed with us live. For all of you at home, for all of you on your iPad, for all of you on your desktop, who runs the world? Old school brothers like me, baby. Let's do him. That was Oleksiy Gutor. I'm Jason DeBeas. This is the Option Podcast. You stay with me. We're going to hit my music, but for everybody else, we're out of here. So long. Come check out the Option Podcast on optionvb.com. It's also available on iTunes and Spotify, and on YouTube under the NY Varsity Sports handle. You're going to love what you hear. Okay, turning off and stream. All right.